Notice of this meeting stating the date, place, and time has been disseminated as required under the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, PL 1975. Mr. Clerk, can you please conduct a prayer and flag salute?
God of the universe, look thou with favor upon these here assembled, and bestow thy guidance upon members of the governing body in their deliberations. This we ask in thy name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In the event of an emergency, the proper method of exiting the council chambers is through the three doors in the rear of the room. Occupants should proceed down the staircase, out the front door, and move away from the area of the front steps. Any member of the public wishing to speak during the public comment session of the end of the meeting is to please sign in on the white sheets provided in the front of the room. Please turn off all cell phones or place them on vibrate. If you must take a call, please leave the council chambers to do so. Mr. Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Mrs. Ormond?
Here.
Javik?
Here.
Brown?
Here.
Mohammed?
Present.
Cosby?
Excused.
Roman?
Present.
Strano?
Here.
Medina?
Here.
Hickey?
Here.
Mrs. Yamakaitis?
Here. Can we have approval of the minutes from the regular meeting of February 19, 2019?
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of February 19th. Request a second.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Brown?
Here. Yes, sorry.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mrs. Yamakaitis?
Yes. Okay, we're going to go into the presentations. I would like to ask Mayor Armstead to please come down to the floor for a proclamation for National Poison Prevention Week.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I think it was 1961, Congress had designated the third full week in March as a National Poison Prevention Week, and with just cause, with good reason. Thousands of kids were being poisoned needlessly, and it's very easy when you're a child. You see medicines, or you'll see liquids. They look like there's something that you can drink, and not knowing any better, you'll sometimes take them and put them in your mouth, and the next thing you know, you have a major problem. So without any further ado, we're going to read a proclamation with regards to National Poison Prevention Week. Whereas Congress designated the third full week in March to be National Poison Prevention Week in 1961, and since then, this week has helped to raise national awareness of the dangers of potentially poisonous medicines, household chemicals, and other substances. Whereas poisoning is a preventable illness, from the youngest to the oldest, all people and even pets are at risk. And poison centers across the country will focus the public's attention on identifying poisoning hazards at home, as well as learning ways to prevent poisoning emergencies. And whereas a poison is defined as anything that is taken in the wrong amount, in the wrong way, or by the wrong person, and unintentional poisoning is the leading cause of unintentional injury, death in New Jersey, outnumbering deaths by motor vehicles and firearms. And whereas drug overdose deaths include those from prescription and over-the-counter medications, as well as illegal drugs such as heroin, methamphetamines, remain in epidemic proportions for both New Jersey and the United States, and approximately 94% of unintentional poison deaths nationally and 96% in New Jersey. Drugs are the poison. Whereas, although the majority of reported poison exposures involve children 5 years old and younger, the majority of poisoning deaths occur in adults aged 20 to 59, and lead poisoning remains the major public health concern. Elevated blood levels can cause significant and permanent damage to the health and well-being of young children. There is no safe level of lead. Stop a child's exposure to lead before it causes harm. And whereas the New Jersey Poison Information and Education System, a division of the Department of Emergency Medicine of New Jersey Medical School of Rutgers, the State University of New Jersey provides expert advice, drug information, and poison prevention education to New Jersey residents through the 800-222-1222 Poison Help Hotline. And all services are free, confidential, multilingual, and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and even during bouts of Mother Nature. And whereas the public can contact poison experts by calling 1-800-222-122 or chatting www.njpies.org or texting 800-222-1222 at njpies.org. And whereas consumers must be aware that e-cigarette devices, hookah pipes, and liquid nicotine may contain very high doses of nicotine and enticing colors, aromas, and flavors, increasing the likelihood that small children and pets will focus their attention to them. These products pose serious risk of poisoning, and poison experts urge residents to use our services as a resource for poison and drug information instead of consulting the internet for information that may not be accurate. And whereas we encourage all citizens to program the Poison Helpline 800-222-1222 into home, office, and cell phones, because a rapid response can make the difference in preventing serious injury and saving lives, and poison centers help to eliminate thousands of unnecessary and expensive emergency department visits by offering callers access to free confidential medical advice. And whereas NJ Pies is also involved with the state's efforts in homeland defense, counterterrorism, emergency preparedness and response, biosurveillance, and surveillance for clusters of poisoning and their sources, products, food and beverages, chemicals in the workplace and at home, environmental toxins, drugs and medicine, and animal and insect bites and stings. Now therefore, I, Derek Armstead, Mayor of the City of Linden, State of New Jersey, do hereby proclaim that the week of March 17th through the 23rd, 2019, as National Poison Prevention Week in New Jersey, and encourage all citizens to pledge their commitment to ensuring the safety of themselves, their families, and community. That was a tough proclamation.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to call on Councilman Barry Javik to please go read a proclamation honoring Joseph Oganowski for his 100th birthday.
Do you have it, Barry? You have a proclamation? Okay, good. That's all right.
This gentleman is a friend of mine for more than 10 years, and he just hit his golden age of 100 years old. Okay, the proclamation. Whereas Joseph Oganowski was born on March 2nd, 1919 in Elizabeth, New Jersey. He was the fifth child born to Martin and Catherine Oganowski. Joseph had 4 older siblings, Mary, Michael, Charles, and Bernice, and 4 younger siblings, Frank, Stanley, Albert, and Felix. And whereas Joseph attended St. Albert School in Elizabeth, where he later became an usher and trustee for the church until retiring in 1984. He retired from Bury Biscuits, where he worked for 12 years. Prior to that, he worked at Union Carbide for 28 years. And whereas Joseph married his first wife, Lillian Pacula, and they started their family, Joseph and Lillian were married 27 wonderful years until her passing in 1975. They were blessed with 5 children of their own: Mark, Paul, Joel, Claudia, and Marie. Their first grandchild was born in 1980. Joseph now has 5 grandchildren and 4 great-grandchildren. And whereas Joseph married his second wife, Betty, after marrying Betty, Joseph found a new appreciation for travel. They traveled to many places like Barbados, Hawaii, Las Vegas, and Poland, just to name a few. And whereas Joseph's zest for life continued when he married his third wife, Terry, once again traveling and enjoying life. And whereas Joseph was and still is active in various organizations such as the Knights of Columbus, the Holy Name Society, the Polish National Home of Elizabeth, and the Pulaski Parade Committee. He was also a member of the Catholic Golden Age, the Linden Moose, and the Linden Elks. And whereas Joseph retired in 1984 and joined the Linden Retirement Men's Club as an active member, now, for the past 35 years, he enjoys meeting with all his friends at their weekly meetings. And whereas Joseph enjoyed swimming, league bowling, playing softball with the St. Stan's Club, and dancing at various ballrooms throughout the state, and now, therefore, be it proclaimed that I, Derek Armstead, Mayor of the City of Linden in the state of New Jersey, on this, the 26th day of February 2019, am honored to congratulate Joseph Oganowski on his 100 years of life. He is a man of integrity who lives a rich life full of love, friendship, service to others, and especially helping wherever and whenever he can.
Life is not a picnic. Life is a hardship from the bottom to the top. Once you beat the bad stuff, you have nothing but good stuff left. So you enjoy it because your life is short. You don't know when you're going to go. And God bless you all, and you too.
Mayor Armstead, could you please read the proclamation for Kids to Park Day?
Okay. Okay. Every year throughout the country, we have what we call as Kids to Park Day. And the idea here is to try to get kids off of their handheld devices and get them out into the park to do something a little more physical. So here in Linden, we will be having our annual Kids to Park Day, May 18th. And the proclamation reads as, whereas May 18th, 2019 is the 9th Kids to Park Day, organized and launched by the National Park Trust, held annually on the 3rd Saturday of May. Whereas Kids to Park Day empowers kids and encourages families to get outdoors and visit America's parks. And whereas it is important to introduce a new generation to our nation's parks, and whereas we should encourage children to lead more active lifestyles to combat the issues of childhood obesity, diabetes, hypertension, and hypercholesterolemia. And whereas Kids to Park Day is open to all children and adults across the country to encourage a large and diverse group of participants. And whereas Kids to Park Day will broaden children's appreciation for nature and outdoors. Now therefore, I, Derek Armstead, the Mayor of Linden, New Jersey, do hereby proclaim this 19th day of March 2019 to participate in Kids to Parks Day in partnership with our Mayor's Youth Commission and Public Property and Community Services Department, and I urge the residents of our community to make time on May 18th, 2019, to take the children in their lives to a neighborhood, state, or national park. Signed by myself.
Thank you, Mayor. We now have the proclamation for Gilbert Nolasco.
Let me preface this proclamation by stating, you know, we have some outstanding kids, some outstanding children in our school system. And I never knew this, that he had overcome such adversity. I would just see him with his Navy ROTC uniform, and I just saw him as just an outstanding child in our school system, always respectful, always going above and beyond, and he's a leader amongst his peers. And I never knew the adversity that he had overcome until it was brought to my attention. But we have a proclamation, and it reads, whereas Gilbert Nolasco, at an early age, was deaf and used sign language as a way to communicate with others. And while enrolled in the public schools pre-kindergarten class, he was unable to communicate with peers, and because of his disability, was enrolled into a special education program. And whereas Gilbert Nolasco, while in elementary school, miraculously regained his hearing, and with the support of his parents and teacher, began to catch up with his peers and started to make regular education classes in the special education program. Whereas Gilbert Nolasco was frequently teased for his learning deficiencies, and he struggled with feeling isolated and unaccepted. It was because of this he became determined to not let others define him, and he worked relentlessly to achieve success in school, spending countless hours outside of school working diligently to complete homework and review material that he struggled with in class. And whereas Gilbert Nolasco, by the time he reached 8th grade, he was out of the special education program and enrolled in regular education classes, and remembers the unbelievable feeling that he had at that time, weeping with tears of joy. Since that time, he has continued to grow as an individual, both academically and personally. Whereas Gilbert Nolasco, during his tenure in high school, is determined to succeed and challenge himself by enrolling in both the demanding Navy Junior ROTC and the rigorous IB diploma programs. He works tirelessly to achieve success in both endeavors and continually demonstrates an unmatched work ethic and commitment level. And his academic success has been remarkable, as he has risen to be Regimental Commanding Officer, which is the highest ranking cadet leadership position in a unit comprised of over 450 high school cadets. And whereas Gilbert Nolasco is humbled by the fact that if it were not for his parents, teachers, and many others who have supported him and guided him on his path to overcome obstacles and achieve success, and he has used this to his motivation to constantly look for opportunities to help others in need, wherever and whenever possible. And whereas Gilbert Nolasco sees the challenge he faces in life as a part of a larger purpose, and that is being able to positively impact others and help them with their own struggles, as he constantly puts himself in the service of his community for the betterment of others, and has never once looked for any type of accolades or recognition. Gilbert always strives to lead by example, and he is an example that is extremely worthy of emulation. And now, therefore, it be proclaimed that I, Derek Armstead, Mayor of the City of Linden in the State of New Jersey, on this 19th day of March 2018, do hereby proclaim that it is my honor to express appreciation to Gilbert Nolasco, for he is a great example of an individual who was faced with difficulties and setbacks throughout his childhood, and these challenges were his motivation to preserve and achieve tremendous success. And he used these personal experiences as a positive example in helping others to strive to overcome the obstacles that may block their path. And I will once again say, he is an outstanding student. He is a person that any parent would be proud to have. I know when I see him commanding those other young people, and he does command them, and they respect him with authority, he would be ideal in any army I was ever in charge of. Congratulations.
Thank you, everyone. I am deeply honored for this proclamation, and let's give a round of applause to our mayor for the fantastic job he's been doing for our city. I'm truly thankful and humbled by this. Not many get this opportunity, but this is truly an honor of my life. Advice I could give to any person is obstacles and hardships are just an opportunity for you to learn, for you to do better, and it serves as an experience. So I tell all of you, don't view obstacles and failures as something bad. Use it as something that motivates you, that makes you want to do better. Because in life, we're not alone. And if we reach success, it's because there are people around us that help us get there. Thank you so much.
Josh, let's get one more. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you, sir. Proud of you, man.
Congratulations. Councilman Brown? Councilman Brown, will you please join Mayor Armstead? Mayor, we're going to start with the presentation to Sherry Pisano,
Okay.
bowling team.
Yes. I'm going to let Councilman Brown read both of these presentations. No, you're up here now,
He's-
buddy. You're here now. That's what we hired you for. There you go. But I'm going to say a few words prior to this. I am an avid Linden High School basketball fan. And we sometimes say Linden means basketball. But tonight, I got to tell you something. We may have to change that slogan. You know what I mean? We may have to say Linden means bowling, because we've got an outstanding bowling team. Year in and year out, they bring home the gold. And they couldn't do it without a tremendous, and I mean a tremendous coach, Sherry Pisano. So, now, usually we put people in the Hall of Fame after they retire, okay? But she's making it to the Hall of Fame before she retires. So what do we do after that? Is there some other type of fame we can put you in? I don't know. Maybe we just build a statue and put it outside the building. I don't know. But no.
Ms. Pisano, would you please come up?
I just want to thank you for your time and your energy, because we all know that when you put time in with our children, it's 25 years. She said 25. She doesn't look like she worked for 20. You don't look like you're 25 years old. When you put time in, that's to be commended. They're our future, and certainly when they're involved in activities, it keeps them from going down a different path. So thank you for all you do. And again, I don't know, the Hall of Fame now, where do you go from here? I don't know. Okay.
I'm just extremely humbled.
So, Peter Brown, Councilman Brown's going to come up and read the, my sister's, okay, thank you. Thank you, Councilwoman Ormond. Peter left his glasses home.
Well, one thing I do, I carry several pair with me. But first, I just want to say that Coach Pisano is one of the most gracious, kindest women that I have met. She loves the children, and she is so committed and dedicated to their success. When you have someone like Coach Pisano behind you, you have no other choice but to succeed. And I see some of the bowlers that are there. I know they love her just as much as she loves them. You guys have a great coach. So I'm going to take a few minutes to read the resolution recognizing the best coach, the best bowling coach there is. Whereas Sherry Pisano has been part of the Linden School District and Linden's athletic program for over 25 years, Sherry started her career in Linden in 1994 when she began teaching special education and history. And whereas Sherry Pisano coached the Linden High School softball team from 1995 to 2010 and led the Tigers to the Union County Tournament Championship game in 2007 and 2009. In 2000, she was approached by school administrators interested in making her the coach of the bowling team. Sherry was surprised by this since she hadn't applied for the position. It was at that time that she was made aware that one of Linden's all-state bowlers had made the request for her to become their coach. She accepted. And whereas Coach Sherry and the Linden High School bowling team have been able to achieve great accomplishments with the dedicated guidance of Coach Pisano, who became the Linden High School varsity bowling coach in 2000, Ms. Pisano has been named North 2 Group 4 Coach of the Year 3 times, the National Federation of High School Coaches in 2006 Boys Bowling Coach of the Year, Star Ledger Bowling Coach of the Year for North Jersey Sectional 2, 3 years in a row, NJSCA Bowling Coach of the Year in 2007, and on March 24, 2019, Coach Pisano will be inducted into the New Jersey State Coaches Hall of Fame. And whereas on March 24, 2019, when Coach Sherry Pisano is inducted into the New Jersey Scholastic Coaches Association Hall of Fame, she will be the 6th coach and the first woman from Linden to be honored. Therefore, Derek Armstead, Mayor of the City of Linden, and the members of the governing body do hereby congratulate Coach Sherry Pisano and thank her for her hard work and dedication to the students and the sport of bowling. Signed, passed March 19, 2019, signed Council President Michelle Yomakaitis and Mayor Derek Armstead.
Congratulations, Coach.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And I just want to say one other word. Not only is she just wonderful to the kids on her bowling team, she's wonderful to all the kids. Every single last child that crosses her path, she takes a special interest in them, and especially those with special needs. So I just love her for that.
Let's take a quick picture. Sure. We
Okay.
want to give you a little resolution here. So.
Okay, now I'd like to ask the members of the bowling team to please come forward.
Now, she's a good coach, but we all know if you don't have anything to coach, you can't succeed. So we know that we've got some outstanding young bowlers here from Linden, and I'm proud to say I know a few of them. And not only are they good bowlers, they're very good children. As you see them walking about and you see them in town, very respectful, and you'd be commended for that. So keep up the good work, guys. And again, we have a resolution for you guys, and I'm going to let my sister read that as well, and we'll take a picture.
To the Linden High School bowling team, whereas under the direction of Coach Sherry Pisano, the 2018-2019 Linden High School bowling team had a very exciting and successful season. And whereas the Linden High School bowling team this season finished at 14-3, capped off a 43-match winning streak that stretched back-to-back seasons, winning the Union County Tournament. Over the years, under Coach Pisano's direction, this Tigers team have won both sectional and Watchung Conference titles. And whereas the Linden High School bowling team was able to achieve these accomplishments with the dedicated guidance of Coach Pisano, who became the Linden High School varsity bowling coach in 2000, Ms. Pisano was named North 2 Group 4 Coach of the Year 3 times, the National Federation of High School Coaches 2006 Boys Bowling Coach of the Year, New Jersey, and she currently serves on the NJSIAA Bowling Rules and Regulations Committee. And on March 24, 2019, Coach Pisano will be inducted into the New Jersey State Coaches Hall of Fame. And whereas the Linden High School bowling team 2018-2019 roster includes members James Fitz, Anthony Golubeck, Matthew Soto, Justin Peters, Darius Lewis, and Nicholas Plummer. And now, therefore, Derek Armstead, Mayor of the City of Linden, and the members of the governing body do hereby congratulate the Linden High School bowling team and staff on their successful bowling season. This 2018-2019 bowling team and a season will be remembered for many years. Passed March 19th and signed by Council President Michelle Yamakaitis and Mayor Derek Armstead and City Clerk Joe Bodak.
Congratulations again, team. Thank you. Okay, we're going to now move on to ordinances. Ordinance 63-7, which was continued from the February meeting. Mr. Clerk, can you please read the ordinance?
An ordinance to adopt an amendment to the redevelopment plan entitled 1001 West Elizabeth Avenue Redevelopment Plan, Block 423, Lot 402, pursuant to the local redevelopment and housing law, NJSA 40A:12A-1 at sequence.
Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, ma'am.
Has any written communication been received?
No, ma'am.
Is there anyone that wishes to be heard on this ordinance? Seeing none, can I have a motion, please?
Council President, I'd like to make a motion to close ordinance 63-7 and ask for a second, please.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Brown? Yes. Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
No.
Strano?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes. Ordinance 63-9.
An ordinance entitled, An Ordinance to Establish a Schedule of Titles, Salary Ranges, and Regulations for Maintaining the Classification and Salary Standardization Plan for all employees of the City of Linden, passed August 15, 1995, and approved August 16, 1995, Schedule 4-NN-2.
Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, ma'am.
Has any written communication been received?
No, ma'am.
Is there anyone that wishes to be heard on this ordinance? Seeing none, motion, please.
Yes, President. Motion for the passage of ordinance 63-9 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mrs. Yemakaitis?
Yes. Ordinance 63-10.
Bond ordinance providing an appropriation of $435,875 for various public safety IT computer upgrades for the police department, and authorizing the issuance of $414,081 bonds or notes of the city for financing part of the appropriation.
Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, ma'am.
Has any written communication been received?
No, ma'am.
Is there anyone that wishes to be heard on this ordinance? Seeing none, motion, please.
Council President, make the motion for the passage of ordinance 63-10 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mrs. Yemakaitis?
Yes. Ordinance 63-11.
Bond ordinance providing an appropriation of $368,500 for the acquisition of various vehicles for the police department and authorizing the issuance of $350,075 bonds or notes of the city for financing part of the appropriation.
Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, ma'am.
Has any written communication been received?
No, ma'am.
Is there anyone that wishes to be heard on this ordinance? Okay, Mrs. Wilverding? Okay, any member of the public has 3 minutes to speak during the public hearing?
It's a bit vague here. $368,000, and it says for various vehicles. I was just wondering how many vehicles and what type of vehicles, because to me that's a huge amount. So I was just wondering how many and like what type.
Chief Hart? Mrs. Zack?
The chief asked me to answer it. It's 5 SUVs that'll be used for the patrol unit, and there's also a passenger van that they're going to be using. So
And
it's
that
five SUVs fully equipped.
With,
and
what do you
also a
mean fully
passenger van.
equipped, like what?
For what they need for their patrol vehicles. Their necessary computers and items that they have to have, fully equipped vehicles. Estimated at $60,500 per vehicle.
Okay, I was just wondering why the amount was so high. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, can we have a motion, please?
Sorry. Yes, I make a motion for the passage of ordinance 63-11. Ask for a second.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mrs. Yemakaitis?
Yes. Ordinance 63-12.
An ordinance to further amend an ordinance entitled, an ordinance authorizing the city clerk, police chief, fire chief, director of community services, city engineer, municipal treasurer, construction code official, director of parks and recreation to be paid for holiday time in lieu of an appropriate time off, passed March 7th, 1978, and approved March 8th, 1978, and as amended and supplement. Delete Public Works Superintendent, Superintendent of Public Property, add Director of Community Services, Director of Parks and Recreation.
Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, ma'am.
Has any written communication been received?
No, ma'am.
Does any member of the public wish to speak on this ordinance? Seeing none, motion, please.
Council President, I make a motion for the passage of ordinance 63-12 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mrs. Yemakaitis?
Yes. Ordinance 63-13.
An ordinance approving the application for a long-term tax exemption and authorizing the execution of a financial agreement with Peak Park Urban Renewal LLC for property known as Block 496, Lots 3 and 4.
Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, ma'am.
Has any written communication been received?
No, ma'am.
Is there anyone that wishes to be heard on this ordinance? Okay, Mr. Principato?
John Principato, 1706 Westover Road. What's the exact tax exemption on this property?
Mr. Antonelli?
The statute refers to long-term exemption, but this is what has commonly been referred to at prior meetings as a pilot, a payment in lieu of taxes. As I've explained before, in this scenario, the city has sought fit to enter into a financial agreement with this developer, which results in greater revenue to the city than it would normally receive had it been a regular assessment. So there's no exemption per se. This individual will be making a payment in lieu of taxes. They will still be paying their fair share. This is revenue that the city will realize, and they're able to retain a greater amount than they would normally under a regular assessment.
Can you tell me what the numbers are?
I just asked our CFO if she had the spreadsheet on the numbers, and she does not have it.
Does anyone here know?
We could certainly get it for you.
I'd like it now if we can get it. I'm sure someone's here, maybe the developer or someone has to know. Because it doesn't say pilot program, it says tax exemption.
What you can
And
do, if you'd like to, you can come to my office tomorrow, we could discuss it, I'll give you all the detail.
No offense, I really don't want to.
Okay, then we won't.
But I'd
we
like
don't-
to
we don't
know,
have it
I'd like
this
to know
evening.
now.
We don't have it this evening, so we'll get it for you tomorrow. If you'd like to stop by tomorrow morning, you can come by and get it.
Why are we unprepared? Why don't we have any answers? Anytime someone comes up, we have very few answers for them. Why is that?
Well, I can assure you the answer won't change from tonight until tomorrow. So if it's an answer you're looking for, we'll have it for you tomorrow
Well, you're
morning.
voting on it tonight, you're not voting on it tomorrow.
Well, you can come and see, well, we're going to vote one way or another on it, John.
Do any of the council members know what it is?
Councilman Brown?
Thank you. Mr. Principato, a lot of the ordinances and resolutions here, we don't have all the information that you're requesting right on the spot, because, well, quite frankly, I don't know how we're going to carry that here. But what I did do, John, because I said a lot of this information is online. Right underneath over there, I got a box of the 2011 to 2018 budget, annual financial statements, as well as our audit reports, because you do ask a lot of good questions in regards to our finances. So what I did is, I keep telling you this information is online because we're trying to be open as possible. I had copies made for you, so that, because tonight we're going to introduce a budget that's, again, decrease in taxes for the second year in a row. And the reason I bring this up is that every month you come up with the same questions with the pilot programs, and we want to give you the answers. Sometimes we don't have it on the spot, and we want to work with you. But John, if you feel we're doing something wrong, please fact check us, and I have the copies there made for you.
I'm just wondering what the numbers are. That's
But
all.
we don't
It
have
says
them right
tax
here, John.
exemption. With all due respect, I appreciate everything that you're doing, I really do. But if it says tax exemption, and then they say it's pilot program, there's two separate meanings for those two,
Yes,
correct?
because what they're doing, instead of the payment is, like the attorneys explained it, and you have scenarios where they're making a bigger payment to the municipalities in form of a payment than property taxes.
I understand that, I just want to know what the numbers are. That's all, I'd like to be afforded that right.
Councilman Roman, you have?
Thank you, Council President. John, I have rough numbers in my head. I asked for the numbers last month when this ordinance came up in order to be comfortable voting for it. I would say, there's 14 townhouses, if I remember correctly. I think they all start around 8,000 or 8,000 apiece. What is it, 20 years? Alex? I think it's 20 years, but it could be 30. But it goes up to 15, 16 after 30 years. That's per year, per unit.
Do you have the paperwork on you here?
16,000 per unit?
That's 30 years from now.
In 30 years?
Yeah.
So 8,000 now, you're saying?
Yeah, and then it goes up, it perpetually goes up over the life of the pilot, 20, 25 years, 30 years, whatever the pilot is, and it comes out to 16,000. From my understanding, Council President, thank you, from my understanding on this, and I compared them to other townhomes with similar style properties, it's not, I can't say the taxpayers are getting ripped off. Again, I have problems with pilot programs in general in residential areas, but as per the rates, it's not that bad.
Councilwoman, you have the actual figures in front of you?
In my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Could you please give Mr.
Mr. Principato, thank you. Actually, you know that my concerns many times over pilot programs, so I asked extensively last month regarding this. First of all, the property has been down for a long time. It's in the 8th Ward. It's been an eyesore. I believe it was partially contaminated as well. There was 14 townhomes that are going up. And when I asked about how much we'll be receiving, they told me $9,600. So I got all nervous at first because I thought it was $9,600 for the whole thing. But actually, it's $9,600 per unit starting. So I thought, and I will be voting yes on this, that this was a sufficient amount of money for us to receive for what is going there and the issues on the property. So $9,600, I was told, per unit, so times 14, and I'm guessing with that being said, the escalation of the program, that the financial program they're getting, we will be set ahead of the game on this specific project.
Councilman Roman?
And to add to that, there was, as Councilwoman Hickey had alluded to, there was contamination there.
Right, that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, so.
Was that remediated?
So yes, but given, well, to my understanding at least, I can't speak to that. But given the fact that the pilot offers financial stability to whoever the builder is, to know how much he's going to spend to build it, how much he's spending over the next 30 years, so that way he can get financing for it. And the number took into account the fact that there was contamination that needed to be cleaned up.
Mr. La Spinoza?
How you doing? Alex Laspinoso, LEDC Director.
Could I ask you to please turn the podium around?
So, I just want to be clear, this meeting on live television is not the only meeting we've had in regards to this matter. I mean, there's LEDC meetings, there's Revenue Enhancement Committee meetings, there's all types of meetings, there's all types of resources. You know, in the caucus meeting, we've already gone over this. If you were at the caucus meeting, maybe you could have heard that. Instead of wasting our valuable time on TV here, you could have done this and, you know, at a different time and utilized the resources at the city's disposal. So, you know,
referring to me?
I'm just saying, you know, a lot of us here, I'm sorry? But I'm just saying, this isn't the only meeting that we've gone over this. There's a lot of other meetings that.
I'm wasting your time.
I
Thank
mean,
you.
just being honest.
So it's a,
Is this time up?
okay, so we're looking at roughly.
Time is up, Mr. Principato. I
Oh,
gave you a few extra.
forgot about that clock.
Thank you. And thank you, Councilwoman, for having the accurate information. This was discussed in caucus, but we didn't have our paperwork here in front of us. Can we have a motion, please?
Yes, Council President, I'd like to make a motion to close the hearing and adopt Ordinance 63-13 and ask for a second, please.
Second.
Mrs. Orman?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mrs. Yamakaitis?
Yes. Consent agenda items. All items listed with asterisks are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted with one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless a council member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. Items 1 through 7. Does any member of the council wish to remove any items? Can I have a motion, please?
Council President, make a motion for consent items 1 through 7. Ask for a second.
Second.
Mrs. Orman?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mrs. Yamakaitis?
Yes. Okay, committee reports. Ward 1, Councilwoman Orman.
Thank you, Council President. I'd like to start off by just saying that Wells Park is under construction. It's been long overdue, but it's coming along nicely. I'm very pleased with the equipment that's going up. Also, Gessner Street construction is underway. This is an infrastructure plan that rolled over from 2017 when it was supposed to be done, and it's now being done now. Just bear with us. There are new aprons being put into certain driveways, curbing, and we're going to do the milling when school is out, so we're less inconvenienced. While we are being a little bit inconvenienced with the parking, you did get notification as to what's going on, and I'm in the same boat. I've got to jockey and find a spot to park too. not being able to get out of my driveway because of the repairs. But the short-term inconvenience is going to be a long-term of having nice paved roads. Now, my message, that's pretty much just based what's going on in the community, but my message right now is pretty much to the public. On March 2nd, many of us went to a training on municipal budgeting. We learned a lot about pilot programs and how they can be beneficial, not only to the city, but how that dollars from pilot programs can be used to help school districts, which seems to be everyone's concern. But what stuck out in my mind, when they found out that we were from Linden, they weren't praising us for the development that's going on, and they definitely weren't praising us for cutting back on taxes. They laughed at us for the embarrassment that these council meetings are. They actually said that these council meetings are ridiculous, from a public perspective as well as from what goes on this dais. All of us are guilty. But we were the laughing stock, and when I went to learn something, I was embarrassed. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about what some of the concerns were for me. We're elected officials, but I think most of you forget that we're people. We are human beings made by the same God that made you, each and every one of you. We bleed red, we breathe, and we have children. We are wives, husbands, sons, daughters, brothers, and sisters. And while your freedom of speech is just freedom of speech, it comes at a very high price. The price that our families pay for some of the things that are said about us, how you berate us and how you beat us down. Our children and our families should never, ever have to hear that. Our employers who watch YouTube should never have to hear some of the things that are being said about us. And just to let you know, this council position is only 1/10 of who we are. We are active members in our community and our churches, clubs, organizations, and none of you know anything at all about us except for what you see 12 times a year. And as far as I'm concerned, that's really not a lot to judge a person by. None of you have ever picked up a phone and have called me and said, I've got a concern about this, that, or the other. And if you have called me, which no one who's sitting in here has done, I answer your phone calls when it's a concern about the city, and I try to solve your problem. And I'm going to be totally honest with you. When I took my oath of office, there was nothing said in the oath of office that I have to be berated, beat down, called names, yelled at, and screamed at while I'm here on council. But you know what? I'm an elected official, and I have to take it. I have to sit here and let you do this. But you know something? I'm going to now fill my bank with fortitude, perseverance, and a whole lot of other things. And I know all the things that are being said, that's not who I am. That is not who makes up Lisa Ormond, the council person here. So just take a time, if you want to come and berate, put down, become a part of my life. Understand who I am outside of this 4-hour marathon that we have. Get to know me. Get to know the advocate that I am for children with autism and how I fight for children who are on the spectrum when their parents have no idea where to turn and what to go. Get to know that side of me, okay? Then you will totally see that this is only just minuscule of who I am and what I do. But once again, it was just an embarrassment because the council here, we're going to be remembered 10 years from now. They're going to remember Councilman Ormond. They're going to remember Council President Michelle Yamakaitis because we enact legislation. We pass ordinances. 10 years from now, they're not going to remember John Smith, Joe Johnson, or Kathy Sue, who has come up to the podium and have given their comments or their berating, whatever they do. But they're going to remember us, and when we aspire to move on to greater things, I personally want to be known that I made a difference in this city. I made a difference with some of the things that I have done to make a lasting impact, not only on this generation, but future generations to come. That ends my report.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Javik?
Starting out as the chairman of the fire committee, the Fire Prevention Bureau has collected the following monies during the month of February 2019. It's a grand total of $5,152.45. And in regards to the Linden Fire Department ambulance billing, the amount of $58,247 $1.98 for February 2019 has been added to the total deposit for 2019 totaling $116,393.27. Also, I'd like to let everyone know that our new ambulance is now in service. In sharing with our Second Ward residents about what's going on in our community, first and foremost is the demolition of the abandoned United Lacquer site. It is now on track to be redeveloped. This site sat vacant for years, costing the taxpayers money under our past administration. With the support of our mayor and Alex Laxpinoso, who is the Director of Economic Development, we will now have a vibrant residential and retail establishment that will create jobs and revitalize, rejuvenate what was an aging, mixed-use neighborhood, changing the dynamics of that area for years to come. The former JTG scaffolding site, also on Elizabeth Avenue, had changed developers. It is now being cleaned out for preparedness of demolition. This will be a key component in Linden's Transit Village Renaissance. With 234 units plus amenities, we have made sure that it contains adequate parking, all self-contained, within the project, which will be a definitive point of entry into our revitalization of the downtown plan. Keeping in the area of parking, regarding the parking, we just rolled out through our traffic department commuter parking decals to make sure homeowners and renters have adequate parking in front of their residences. As we look at how this is working, we may roll out additional streets, I would probably say by year end or next year, if we find that we need to. Through some emails I had received, I was made aware that we never had heaters also on the southbound train platform for those very cold days. So through the efforts of Jerry Bishop, in connection with the New Jersey Transit, we're getting that accomplished right now. Now that the weather's breaking, DPW will be out with filling the potholes and sealing the cracks. You will also see them out on the roads, starting the repaving. Roads are getting damaged by the overuse of trucks on our residential streets. We are currently working on creating truck routes through these areas to solve this problem. This rollout is going to continue for quite some time on that. This year, I am also the liaison to the Shade Tree Commission. Anyone wanting additional trees, removals, or pruning, please contact your council person who can forward to me so I can bring this information to our regular meetings. On April 26th at school number 8, we're having our Arbor Day celebration, dedicating a linden tree that will be planted and also raising the Tree City USA flag. We will also be having combined, actually we will also be having it combined in the spirit of working together, the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd Ward. We're going to have a public safety meeting on March 28th at the Linden Public Library on East Henry Street. It's going to be at 6:30 to 8 o'clock. All are welcome to attend. Getting a little ahead of myself, a little bit early here, but in June, we're planning a 1st, 2nd, and 3rd Ward barbecue also at Dobson Park, and that was just like last year we had. And on March 29th, the 2nd Ward at the JTG Recreation Center, we will be having a family game night again from 6 to 8:30 p.m. Free admission, refreshments, snacks, and we always get a good turnout, so come and join us, please. Linden's future, as I see it, is exceptionally bright, so let's all work together and enjoy. Please reach out to me with any concerns. My cell is 908-494-4608, or email me at bjavick@linden-newjersey.org. Council President, end of report.
Thank you, Councilman Javick. Councilman Brown.
All right, I got 4 committee reports. I'm going to go as quickly as I can. So for the construction code, I make a motion for the approval of street light installation request on pole 60726 LD located at 44 Ainsworth Street, and request a second.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mrs. Yemakaitis?
Yes.
All right. For the recreation, day camp registration is open for all Linden's children entering kindergarten through 6th grade in September 2019. Registration is accepted Monday through Friday at the Linden Multipurpose Center located at 1025 John Street. John T. Gregorio Center, located right behind us at 330 Helen Street, or the Community Center Building right down the road at 205 Southwood Avenue. Also, applications are being accepted for summer day camp and playground counselors. Please visit the City of Linden website to download an application. For further information, please call 908-474-6039 or email lmpc@linden-nj.org. From the Budget and Finance Committee. Approval is requested for the following finance actions. The payment of bills totaling $1,475,246.34. Bills have been signed by the Mayor, Council President, and Finance Chairman, and a detailed check register and vouchers are on file in the clerk's office. Item number 2, we are in receipts of investments made by the City Treasurer for the month of February at the rate of 2.75%. I move for approval and ask for a second.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mrs. Yemakaitis?
Yes.
When I introduce the budget, I got to ask Joe first, or make the statement?
You go first.
Make my statement first? Okay. So tonight, we will be introducing the 2019 budget for the year. So I would like to take this time to introduce the 2019 City of Linden municipal budget. The budget represents a total of $1,110,463,333.40 in expenditures for the year 2019. The Finance Committee will work hard to further reduce expenditures wherever possible. The Finance Committee has worked on with every department head in keeping expenditures to a minimum. The Finance Committee is proud to deliver this budget at a decrease in the municipal portion of a tax rate by $4.93 based on the average assessed home value of $131,634. Once again, this year's budget addressed many pertaining to our police department. It puts more cops on the street. I would like to thank all the members of the governing body for their assistance and recommendations on the 2019 budget. I would like to especially thank every department head for their dedication and diligence in preparing the 2019 municipal budget. Please be advised that anyone interested in obtaining a copy of the 2019 municipal budget can so through the clerk's office from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. If you are unavailable to pick up a copy, you may contact the clerk's office at 908-474-84952, and a copy will be sent to you. It is also available through the City of Linden website at www.linden-nj.org and for viewing at the Linden Municipal Library.
Mr. Bodek, can you please read the budget introduction?
Municipal budget of the City of Linden, County of Union for the calendar year 2019. Be it resolved that the following statements of revenue and appropriation shall constitute the municipal budget for the year 2019. Be it further resolved that said budget be published in the Union County local source in the issue of March 28, 2019. The governing body of the City of Linden does hereby introduce the following as the budget for the year 2019. Notice is hereby given that the budget and tax resolution was introduced by the governing body of the City of Linden, County of Union on March 19, 2019. A hearing on the budget and tax resolution will be held at City Hall on April 16, 2019 at 7 p.m., at which time and place objections to said budget and tax resolution for the year 2019 may be presented by taxpayers or other interested persons.
Okay, can I have a motion to introduce the budget?
I make a motion for the introduction of budget, the 2019 budget. I just want to say a little side note. Next month is when we usually do the budget presentation to go over the numbers and programs, things like this. In the meantime, though, you still have the opportunity to look at the budget to ask questions. So I just want to clarify that. So make a motion for the introduction of the 2019 budget and ask for a second.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mrs. Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Another thing that's happening in the ward, we have this Nextel reverse 911 system. I'm not sure how many people here in the audience are part of it, but I wanted the police chief to at least go over that program because I believe they're doing some testing in my ward. But Chief, I want you to talk about that a little bit more, please.
Yeah, good evening. There's two Nixle. We encourage all citizens in Linden to sign up for Nixle on your cell phone. You get citywide alerts for traffic issues, any emergencies within the city. We try not to overburden you with too many messages from minor street closures, generally major street closures, and any emergencies within the city. The city also has a Nixle system, which we call the Reverse 911. You may or may not have heard of it. It entails calling hardline phones. There are some seniors and others in the town that do not have cell phones or access to cell phones. We try to test this on a quarterly basis within the city. This Friday is the plan. If it goes according to plan, Friday we'll be testing primarily the 3rd Ward. It's a 3rd Police District. But if you get any phone calls, it's an automated system that'll ring. We're going to post this on our city Facebook and send a Nixle alert out on the cell phones that we're going to be doing this test. But it is a legitimate police test. It will be conducted Friday, primarily the 3rd Ward. There may be some overlaps into the 2nd, 1st, and the 4th Ward by a street or two. So this will be done Friday, and it'll be done quarterly. We will announce ahead of time what area of the town that we're doing it. It's a great way to get the message out for a citywide emergency if someone does not have access to a cell phone. Thank you.
And for the last couple of months, and I didn't mean to talk about this month, but in regards to an email I received just here, confirmed for the last couple of months I've been saying my friends and family have been harassed, things of this nature. I brought it up to the attention of council even last month to the point where I said I was going to file complaints, to the point where another council person's making accusations. Today, and if you guys see me going back and forth, I received an email from a guy confirming that for 18 months this guy has been following me, my friends, my family, sent an email of a website where he's been investigating, as people keep saying, following my friends, my family for 18 months. And the reason why I bring this up is a lot of times we think it's okay where members of the public come up here and attacking us back and forth all the social media, but it's getting out of control where individuals are following you and investigating you and calling your job. And these are things I haven't been talking about, where there's paper trails out there that we've collected, where people are calling my work, hanging up, sending emails to my employer, and a lot of it's being fed by people on this dais where there's been links been made of this individual where, I'm sorry if you see me back and forth, I just got the email today from this individual confirming it. And this stuff needs to stop in Linden, because I keep saying Linden is better than this. We're all raised better. And it's upsetting that for my last month on my last year on council, where in this municipal budget where we delivered another tax rate decrease in 2 years, we still find it in ourselves that we'd rather attack each other than work together. Next month, I'm going to be talking about some of the programs that we've done over the last couple of years and that we will be doing this year. Everything from a STEM month that we're looking to do, bringing back in the Liberty Science Center, working with colleges and universities to help educate our children here and do some programming, the Art House, the banners on Wood Avenue, but yet I have to talk about this because it's upsetting and disgusting that people are spending their own life following and harassing me and my family, as well as other members on the council. And I've said it repeatedly, it needs to stop. Because at the end of the day, that time and energy should be spent on improving Linden, getting your hands dirty, helping planting flowers, doing things that we all can do to move forward. That's all I want to say.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Mohammed.
Good evening, Council President. Following report from the city clerk, 131 work ed and marriage transfer, total revenue $965. Thank you, Councilman Brown. 18 marriage and civil union license, $54. No domestic partnerships. 4 miscellaneous revenue for $13.61. one bingo raffle for $20, 95 vital statistics reports, $1,425. Borough permits, thank God, 0. Interest earned, 61 cents. Total revenue, $3,477.61 to the city of Linden, and to the state, $450. Also, the city clerk's office issued 5 dog licenses and 20 miscellaneous licenses and collected $2,412. Report from the 4th Ward. We've had tremendous progress with the Department of Public Works in terms of speedily working towards trimming trees, taking care of trees that are overgrown or dead. We want to thank Mr. Frank Dan for that. Madam Council President, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Roman.
Thank you, Council President. I'm not chairman of any real, I'm chairman of negotiations. They're ongoing as normal. We usually don't discuss that in open session. I want to talk about permit parking. I know a lot of my residents were concerned at my 6th Ward meeting, so I'd like to discuss it a little bit. We've had over 1,300 permits issued so far. That's 2nd Ward, mostly 2nd and 6th Ward for the most part, some 3rd. So it's working, okay? And people are buying permits at our train station because of this. There are going to be issues, and this is going to be an evolving thing, as the lieutenant said at the 6th Ward meeting. This is going to continue to evolve, so everyone sit tight. We're trying to get the commuters that are parking in front of your house all day long so you can't park out of the way. I've said this several times. I got a 75-year-old man who's lived in his house for 60 years, and he can't park anywhere near his house. So we're trying to help the taxpayers with this. So just be patient. Go get your permits. And I want to talk about my 6th Ward meeting. I want to thank everyone that attended, both residents and city officials. It was very informative for the residents, and my favorite thing about these meetings is that I get to connect, instead of the residents of the 6th Ward connecting to me and to delegate their problems, which I love doing. It's my favorite part of the job, actually, fixing those problems for them. They get to talk directly to our police, our DPW, our engineers, and city officials, and that's a really good way to get things done and get some things fixed, small issues, big issues, and we start the conversation on how to slow down traffic or how to fix the parking problem. And they're just awesome, and it's really honestly one of my favorite parts of my job here. So the 6th Ward annual cleanup, if you remember, last year I did one. I said it was going to be annual. I'm bringing it back. There's never any shortage of trash near the train station to pick up. Not doing it. It just seems that the wind blows a lot of trash around the place. So I'm excited for that. It's probably going to be on April 20th. I may change to April 27th, given I'm going to gauge interest, given the 20th is the day before Easter, but it is closer to Earth Day. So got through that. School 6 coach bag bingo and Tricky Che is on March 27th. 5:30, the doors open. Calling starts at 7 p.m. Tickets are $20 beforehand and $25 at the door. If you need tickets or want tickets, contact me. I will put you in touch with the person who has the tickets immediately. There's plenty of 6th Ward moms that have tickets available. This is a great event. I know there's a lot of ladies out there that would like to get a coach bag, and I know there's, or at least I hope there's a lot of gentlemen out there willing to spend some money to get their ladies a coach bag.
Mother's Day is coming.
Yeah, Mother's Day is coming too, guys, so pony up. So again, that's March 27th, 5:30 at, 29th? Thank you, March 29th, 5:30 at School 6. Battle for the badges. I wanted to make this announcement. I'm pulling it up on my phone. So there is a Battle of the Badges. It is at our rec center. It's at the PAL. Oh, I'm sorry, it's at John Street, Multipurpose Center. It is March 30th, 3 p.m. The 5th grade Linden Tiger Cubs are playing the 5th grade Roselle Traveling Team. And immediately following, Union County Sheriff's Office is playing a game against the corrections officers. So they'll be on John Street. It's $10 a pop. Eric LeGrand will be there, and Team LeGrand. Tricky Tray prizes, restaurant gift cards, golf outings, day at the spa. So if you would like a ticket to that, call Officer Zemansky at the Sheriff's Office, 732-713-1963. All right, that gets most of the stuff out of the way. I would like to address the pilots that was spoken before. I just want to say this, that the state legislature has long spoken about pilots being used to capture all the revenue, and that's always been my concern about them. I have no problem with warehousing pilots because there's no kids living in warehouses, but you know, with heavy residential pilots, I've said this 1,000 times, this is just my view on it, and the great thing is we are a council, so we get to disagree, and then, you know, a majority rides on all things. But I want to quote our Senate President, and he says, "I support pilots, but I believe I believe in pilots and they're important, but some places might need them more, and they can use them a way to capture all the revenue into the municipal budget, because obviously it doesn't go into the Board of Education budget." Our Board of Education is very fortunate. Governor Murphy, you know, gave us an extra funding through a new formula, so we got an extra $3.9 or $3.8 million. Things should be good in the immediate concern. I'm worried that it's just kind of a different way of taxing. So that out of the way. I was going to address the concerns of Councilman Brown, but I'm not allowed to talk about it. I will tell you this, that I'm deeply concerned for this city. I got up here to do right by my dad and my mom, and that's what I'm here for. So at the end of the day, if I think something's not right by them, I'm not going to vote for it. The buck starts there. And then a bunch of six-worders want to jump on and say, "John, you can't vote for that." I'm going to listen to them too, but my parents do come first. And the things going on in the city are bad. I'm not going to single anyone out here, but I've seen some things that are very troubling. And the morale in these departments are, in my opinion, must be at an all-time low. People are scared for their jobs. You know, people are upset with management. People, you know, just don't feel safe in some instances. And there's deep worry, and I have worry too. I'm afraid that some things have been done. And I think that sitting up here and lying is not the right thing to do. I think we should just let things run their course and see how the chips fall, as someone used in caucus before. So, that being said, I'm always going to have, you know, your back and then, you know, the backs of the people watching this on TV. And when I see immorality and illegal activity, I'm going to speak up. And I don't care if people around me have to suffer. I don't care if I have to suffer. You know, I keep having this quote, and it's you either die the hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And I think it's very true. So, again, let's move forth, and whatever happens in this city happens. But, you know, you can say what you want, Pete, wherever you are, but what's done in the dark is going to come to light. Thank you, Council President. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Strano?
Yes, good evening, everyone. I'm in receipt of the report for personnel for the month of March 19th of 2019, and we have five items here with subsections to it, which I'll read through and request any questions, and then we'll have a roll call, I imagine, after that. So in the Department of Community Services, starting with the Division of Public Works, item A is permission to post for 2 laborers in the Division of Public Works, internally and externally at the same time. And B is permission to post for the position of a truck driver in the Division of Public Works, internally and externally at the same time. Under 2A, on the Police Department, accepting the voluntary resignation in good standing of dispatcher Jennifer Sepulveda, effective February 27th of 2019. B is accepting the voluntary resignation in good standing of Katarzyna Geralds, I don't know if I said that right, but I tried, Clerk 1 from the Records Bureau, effective March 11th of 2019. Item C is accepting the voluntary resignation in good standing of Edgard Enrique Remigio, police recruit, effective February 26th of 2019. D is the hiring of 8 public safety telecommunicator trainees from the attached list, effective March 27th of 2019, at the annual salary of $38,000, pending the successful completion of all necessary pre-employment requirements. E is the hiring of Shawnice Randolph, Clerk 1, at the annual salary of $34,548, effective April 8th, 2019, pending the successful completion of all necessary pre-employment requirements. F is the hiring of Alea Bishop, Clerk 1, at the annual salary of $34,548, effective April 8th of 2019, pending the successful completion of all necessary pre-employment requirements. Under Article 3, Municipal Court, Item A, the hiring of Dharmisa Patel as a full-time Clerk 1 at the rate of $18.98 per hour. That's effective March 25th of 2019, and again, pending the successful completion of all necessary pre-employment requirements. B, the hiring of Rebecca Casablanca, finally got an easy name to read, as part-time Clerk 1 at the rate of $18 per hour, effective March 25th, 2019, pending the successful completion of all necessary pre-employment requirements. And this is going to be paid out of the POAA trust account. C is the hiring of Evan Hardy as a part-time Clerk 1 at the rate of $18 per hour, and that's effective March 25th of 2019, pending the completion of all necessary pre-employment requirements, and that also is going to be paid out of the POAA trust account. And 4, in the Law Department, A is the hiring of William Reynolds, a temporary Clerk 1 at the rate of $18.98 per hour, and that's effective March 25th, 2019, pending successful completion of all necessary pre-employment requirements. And 5, in Personnel Department, is amending the hiring date of Athena B. Robinson from March 4th, 2019 to March 5th of 2019, and correction of her name from Athena Thompson to Athena B. Robinson. B is the approval of the FMLAs and the NJFMLAs. The leaves are for the following employees. The list of the employees are on file in the Personnel Division. Are there any questions regarding the personnel report? Seeing none, I make a motion for acceptance of the report and request a second.
Second.
Mrs. Orman?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Brown? Yes. Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mrs. Yemakaitis?
Yes.
I want to make a little report on the lighter side of governing regarding how some things happen that get the response that we all wish that we would get when things go right. I had a gentleman who's a long-time resident of the 7th Ward, recently became a widower, and he's a little bit of old school, and he still mails things via stamp in an envelope, where most of us are paying our bills online now. But still, it's an important issue. It's one of those quality of life things, you know. It's a issue where the post office on Southwood Avenue and 10th Street, which has been there for as far back as I can remember, they cut back on a lot of their hours, so the post office isn't open. They have abbreviated hours there, obviously for economic reasons or the amount of business that they actually get at that airport, at that post office. And the issue was that they had a mailbox outside so that when they were closed and people who do still use a stamp and envelope want to drop off an envelope and the post office is closed, you drop it in the mailbox. Simple. But that mailbox probably was there when the Pony Express was still delivering mail. And it was all rusted out, and at time to time, they would tape it closed, and these people would go there and try to mail a letter, and they'd be all taped up, and, you know, they couldn't do it. And then they'd have to venture uptown. And for, you know, the aged people, it's a little tough driving and parking, and, you know, what a madhouse it can be across the street in the middle of a workday. So he called me and said, is there anything we could do with that, about that mailbox? I took it upon myself to say, oh, I'll see what I can do about it. You know, that's what we normally say. And I looked into it right away. I called the mayor's office, and I spoke to Rebecca Totoli, and I gave her the information. Now, I didn't expect anything to happen, you know, for months, because generally speaking, the mail moves kind of slow. And I got a phone call just the other day, and the guy said, he goes, man, you're unbelievable. I said, what did I do now? And he said, no, there's a new mailbox there. I said, they told me it was going to take a couple of weeks at least. He goes, no. He says, I just want to thank you. It's great. And I just want to, you know, mention that, you know, sometimes little things like that mean a lot to some people, and it's one of those feel-good things. It's a feel-good story. And I just want to give credit where it's due. Rebecca Totoli in the mayor's office did all the legwork on it. And I also want to thank the post office and the postmaster, who I'm told, I believe, did you get an answer? Rebecca said it's a woman, so I don't know if I can call it a postmaster, or maybe it's postmistress, I don't know, but it is. So I just want to, you know, shout out to her and thank her as well, and, you know, that's my little story for the 7th Ward and a little lightness to governing in Linden. Thank you, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilman Strano. Councilman Medina.
Yes, thank you, Council President. I do have some notes here, but just to echo Councilman Strano, I think I'm about to call Rebecca up because my mailbox was never replaced in my corner. Fortunately, we had some kids who tied it up with a car and dragged it around the block and never replaced it. That was almost 10 years ago, so I kind of missed that mailbox there, so I'm going to have to make that phone call. Don't have any real committee reports. Again, I'm chairman of technologies. We're still working on the app and whatnot, and we're wrapping up some current projects. So more to come on the app, because that's definitely important to this governing body. Again, to be as transparent as we can with sharing information with everyone. But just a couple notes here in the 9th Ward. I just want to address some concerns. I mentioned this a couple months ago. Again, this year it's the 9th Ward turn for road paving. You know, I submitted several streets to engineering for review and consideration. I also discussed yesterday in our caucus with our director of DPW, Frank Dan. We have some trouble streets, and I'll give you some examples that are just beyond patching at this point, which is DeWitt Terrace between Princeton and Swarthmore, 1600 blocks. Summit Terrace, again, between Princeton and Swarthmore as well, 1600 block. And then we have Orchard Terrace between Palisade and Edgewood. That's the 1800 block. Director explained that he will look into this, hopefully come up with some sort of a solution. If no solution can be found to fix these trouble spots, then I will amend the list that I originally submitted and resubmit again for consideration, because these are definitely trouble spots that are just beyond repair at this point. But I'm hoping the director and the great team at DPW can find a solution to this problem. Also, sidewalks that were left over from 2018 will be done this year as well. And if anyone in the 9th Ward that's listening, I know I have a 9th Ward resident here, thank you, that have a sidewalk that's damaged by a city tree, please give me a call. I would love to add it to the list. We'll look at it, mark it, and then we'll get it done this year for 2019. Received some calls with some tree concerns on Berlant. They're being addressed. Crew went out there, I believe, a little bit over a week ago, and took care of some branches that were dangling and looked like they were in danger of falling. So any tree issues, please give me a call. Love to add it to the list, get it over to DPW, and they'll add it as part of the rotation of issues, which is our lot. Also, for the folks in the Berlant area, I received several complaints on a late night car meet. These cars are generally meeting between 12 and 1 a.m. They have loud exhaust. I did communicate that to the patrol captain. He was gracious enough to communicate that to the street team, and they did go out in the evenings over this past weekend. So I'm hoping that they go out again and we'll find a solution to this problem. And again, it's just a bunch of kids that are just looking for a place to hang out, but their cars are super loud and waking up people at 12, 1 o'clock. And then they decide to do burnouts as well. So yeah, they're pretty much inconsiderate. Want to bring to everyone's attention in 9th Ward, one of my neighbors on the 1800 block of Orchard had a package stolen from his porch. I believe he posted the video on several Facebook sites. I believe we might have shared it with a Sunnyside page. I'm not too sure. But I just tell people, just keep an eye out for that kind of stuff. You know, that stuff is happening all over the country. It's just an easy grab and go kind of situation. They see an Amazon package, a Walmart package, or some sort of a box. They don't know what's in those boxes, but they think, hey, it might be, you know, might hold some sort of value, right? But it really just creates another level of inconvenience for that person who ordered that package. So that was the 1800 block. That was the other day. It is posted on several sites, what I'm told, and we did post it on our Sunnyside page. So if you recognize the individual, you know, keep an eye out. Report any strange activities to our police department, please. They are always available. I do not recommend calling 911 for stuff like this. Call the non-emergency line, 908-474-8500. They're really great at getting back, addressing the issue and getting a patrol car out there, excuse me. Lastly, you know, I'm working with Councilwoman Hickey. I normally put out a 9th Ward newsletter, but this year I'm doing a little bit different. I'm going to work with Councilwoman Hickey. We're going to do a joint 9th and 10th Ward newsletter. The newsletter, my newsletter always includes, it's going to be generally the same, improvements throughout the wards, concerns. We're going to have a schedule of community meetings. We're going to have a schedule of community picnics, something I've always done. And normally I disseminate this newsletter via paper delivery. I hire kids to do it because I just can't afford to mail it out anymore. The post office, they're too expensive. I'm not attacking you. And also we disseminate it. There goes my mailbox. That's funny. Sunnyside Facebook page and also the Nextdoor app. I tell folks to get on the Nextdoor app. It's a nice community app. It's a great platform just to communicate with your neighbors for your wants and needs and just share concerns. It's a great app to really communicate with your neighbors, get to know people as well. I could always be reached on my cell phone, 908-986-6100. You can text me, you can email me. I receive my emails on my phone at amedina@linden-nj.org. Always here to help. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Medina. Councilwoman Hickey?
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Council President. Well, Councilman Medina already put me on a budget for the barbecues, so I don't know who's worse, him or my husband. But anyway, thank you for everybody coming here tonight. We have a pretty crowded room here tonight. First off, I'd like to thank, I attended this week, and I don't know if anybody else did, the St. Patrick's Day Parade in Union County. It's a fabulous day that I love to participate in every year. I even have my own 10th Ward Councilwoman sash that I'm very proud of. So the parade committee works very, very hard, Union County freeholders, to put together a great day, and we had great, great weather. So we did have the luck of the Irish with us on Saturday. Let's see. A couple months ago, I honored members of the Office of Emergency Management, which many of you know that I'm very, very proud of. And I did forget one person who is very important and was a very big part of OEM. And she's actually one of the first female firefighters, so I certainly can't forget her. So I'm giving her a solo tonight. Brianna Bornstadt, she does an amazing job. OEM already misses her. She was fabulous, but fortunately our fire department is very, very lucky to have her. Last night, or tonight, you'll see on our agenda, there is going, from our grant writers, a grant going out for updating and different things being done at parks. Many of you know Alcala Park, whether it be from family, children. It is a very, very busy park with many soccer games going on, not only the weekends, but all during the week. I made a suggestion to council last night that with the fields, new soccer turf fields that are truly needed, our road over there, Wickersham, gets extremely flooded. There's been sinkholes there. It's been going on for many, many years. So I'm hoping with some grant money, and hopefully we can reach out to the county and really get a substantial parked there, which I know will certainly go a long, long way. So we'll see what happens with the grants that we receive, and hopefully maybe some county grants. With our OEM, I'm skipping back, my apologies. I just wanted to go over the yearly stats. In 2017, we had a total of 97 responses, and we had 1,208 man-hours with our volunteers. In 2018, we had 121 responses, and we had 2,557 man-hours. I just want everybody to know how this saves so much money with our police department, our fire department, and like I said, these are always a bunch of wonderful people who might have missed their calling as a police officer or fireman, and they do a really, really great job. And I also want to thank Union County, because they did just donate an older vehicle to us, a Suburban, but it runs great. It has 90-some thousand miles on it. But let me tell you, when OEM gets a new used vehicle, they are very appreciative and very, very excited. They truly are. So, street sweeping, I had a couple complaints today. People didn't move their cars, but their street wasn't swept. This street sweeping does not happen all year long. I know it's frustrating, especially if you do get a ticket. My advice is just to please follow all the street signs. I know DPW does the best they can. If there is a couple weeks that go by and your street hasn't been swept, please text me, call me, email me, and I'll make sure I contact Director Frank Dan, and he will help us out with it. He always does. They'll usually send a truck right away. Same thing with your trees and tree trims. Please email me, text me if you have any issues that need to be done. It's not going to happen next week unless the tree is dangerous and going to affect cars parked in the street and is dead. Happy birthday to Danny Kaczynski today in heaven. I think he's an important person that we need to recognize. He's been very good to all the children, and he was a mentor to many, and he is very missed. And also, deepest condolences to someone that many, many people loved in a family. They love the Villani family, as we lost D. Villani a couple weeks ago. So just keep their family in your prayers. Congratulations to the amazing bowling team and Sherry Pisano. I could tell how very dedicated she is in all the pictures that I see. Now to the good stuff. Tonight we have on the agenda about the SID annual budget. As I usually say, and I'm not going to change my ways over the years, $66,000 for salary and wages. Now, all this money comes from the business owners on Wood Avenue. They have to pay a percentage for the SID district to represent them and do great things on our downtown area. $27,000 just to lease a building and the Xerox machine and the utilities. $30,000 is in here for a redesign on Wood Avenue. I just get frustrated year after year because I don't see anything really happening on Wood Avenue. It's upsetting. There's nowhere for me to really go on Wood Avenue. The one new thing is the art place. That is wonderful. I mean, $1,800 for phones and $15,000 for professional services. Once you get finished with all this, the $190,000 they collected from the business owners is gone. So what's the sense of it? But it falls on deaf ears, but I feel as a councilwoman, I need to say this and put it out there. Sometimes I do feel it's used as a slush fund, and I don't think it's a good thing. I haven't seen any improvements on Wood Avenue, especially since they increased the percentage that these business owners had to pay. I find it very disappointing that I have to sit up here tonight and watch 2 or 3 police officers that aren't on our streets protecting our neighborhoods, instead having them here. Last night, as I went into the caucus meeting, I saw John Roman outside, and I said to John, I said, you know what, John, this is really getting ugly, and I do not have a good feeling about tonight. that I was afraid of for my safety, and I was afraid for his. Unfortunately, some people don't like the fact that we are individuals who stand up for what we believe in, and we truly, truly have a lot of pride and perseverance, passion when it comes to taking care of the residents of the city. I can't say what goes on in executive session. I can't speak on what goes on in executive session. But I will say that I had to send a text message to make sure a police officer was watching that room, because I was that scared for John Roman. You know, I sit up here and I listen to the other council people preach and say, cause more positivity, do this. Well, how can we always focus on that when there's certainly a good couple individuals up here that really focus on the people, and we have to be scared for our safety. And then it's portrayed to all the residents in our city in a different manner, like we are the bad people. You know, for years, I've had issues that have happened to me, to my family members. You know, I never threatened with a lawsuit. Everyone that voted for me to sit in the seat. They voted for me to tell the truth. They didn't vote for me to sit up here and be condescending, rude, and disrespectful to residents who just have an opinion that is different than theirs. I was upset tonight. John, Mr. Principato, you asked a simple question. You didn't seem evil. You didn't seem mean. However, the response you got from an employee who carries 2 salaries from the city was extremely inappropriate. And I'm sorry, Alex, but honestly, with that on the agenda tonight, you should have had the answers to that. We went over thoroughly that issue last month, and I wouldn't have said anything, but how you treated Mr. Principato just was not right. Nobody should talk to our residents in that manner, whether they like what they say or they don't like what they say. You know? So lastly, the investigation committee that was put through last month. My suggestion tonight was that we need to, excuse me, Sherry? My comment tonight was that I would like to put through a resolution with the city attorney that the members that are on the investigation committee and who are eligible to subpoena different issues and people and so forth, I asked if they can have background checks done. Last month I mentioned that I think any legalities and issues that go on with our city, thank you for keeping on laughing, Mrs. Humphrey, we know where you stand anyway. So I'm sorry, I apologize, I'll finish up. So my feeling was if there's legal matters or things going wrong, that this should fall on to our police, our fire, our prosecutors, our attorney general, and it should be into trained legal hands. So my suggestion tonight was that any of the members that are on this committee should have thorough background checks done, as done for police, firemen, Office of Emergency Management, mental health checks done, and approved in order for them to carry on their roles on this committee. And I was laughed at. So if anybody didn't have anything to hide, I don't think they would mind having a background check. Do one on me. I'm good with that. So I apologize for having to bring up these things at a city council meeting, but at the end of the day, I'm here for every resident. John Roman, I'm sorry for the treatment that you received and the horrible remarks and intimidation you get, but I'm up here to tell the truth, and I will continue doing that. And nobody pays my mortgage, nobody takes care of my children, it's me. So I have nothing to lose up here. And I'm not going to be intimidated and bullied anymore, especially from the people who preach up here that they do that. Thank you.
Mayor Armstead?
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I have a number of correspondence from various agencies in the city just to announce some events. The first annual Women's Month brunch. The flyer reads, "Join us as women in our community come together to honor women of greatness throughout the history. during a celebration of Women's History Month. That's Sunday, March 24th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. This is a free event, and all are invited at the Art House in Linden, which is 422 Northwood Avenue. It is presented by One Linden, One Direction, and of course that is with the help of the SID, the Special Improvement District, and the City of Linden. Another flyer we have, Mayor Derek Armstead and the City Council present Family Game Night on Friday, March 29th, 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. This will be at the JTG Recreation Center on Helen Street. It's free admission, light refreshments and snacks will be served. Parents should bring your children to the JTG Center, that's the John T. Gregoro Recreation Center, for a fun night of playing classic and current card and board games. For more information, you can call Megan Martin at 908-474-8627 or visit the City of Linden website at www.linden-nj.org. Family Game Night is designed to try to get our young people away from social media and handheld devices, get them back to just doing some good old down-to-earth fun games. We have another correspondence here, our first annual Women History Month celebration, which is organized by the Linden Cultural and Heritage Committee in observance of Women's History Month, which was created to commemorate the accomplishments of women and celebrate the fight for women's equality. This particular event will take place on March 30th, 1 o'clock p.m. to 4 o'clock p.m. at the John T. Gregorio Recreation Center. Oh, there is a general admission of $10, and at the door, $15 admission. The money being raised, the money will be used to go towards a scholarship for a Linden resident or Linden student. Another announcement we have is the Cornhole Tournament. This particular tournament is being sponsored by the Linden Police Unity Tour. This is their first annual Cornhole Tournament. It will be Saturday, April 6th, 2019. The event starts at 3 p.m. at the JTG Center on Helen Street. It's $100 per team registration. I think it's $125 a day of registration. You must register by March 30th. This includes food and drink. Spectator ticket is $40, which includes food and drinks. There'll be 50-50 raffles, and shirts will be available on site. To register, you may contact Nicole Andrews at teamlinden42@gmail.com, or you can call Joe Appello at 908-590-0456. All the proceeds from this event will benefit the Team Linden 2019 ride. Again, and this is for the Police Unity Tour, which occurs every year. Another correspondence we have here is from the International Association of the Lions Club. The Linden Lions Club annual fish fry will be Friday, April 12th, 2019, from 5 to 7 p.m. It will be held at the Gregorio Recreation Center at 330 Helen Street. It's $18 for adults, $9 for children under 12, and $20 for tickets at the door. There'll be raffles and prizes, and it will be catered by Argyle's from Kearney, New Jersey. For ticket information, call 732-815-3280 or 908-925-7242. All proceeds are used to help the blind and other charitable endeavors. We greatly appreciate your support. That's the Linden Lions Club. Here's a good one. We're going to have a forum to discuss the effects of smartphones on individuals and what we can do to ensure the health and well-being of ourselves and families. The event is called This Is Your Brain on Phones, Smartphone and Social Media Overuse. It will be held at Miles J. McManus Middle School, that's 300 Edgewood Road, of course in Linden, April 10th, 2019, from 6:30 p.m. to 8 o'clock p.m. This is being sponsored by the City of Linden, Prevention Links, the Municipal Alliance, and the Mayor's Youth Commission. So if you feel like you know someone who is addicted to their cell phone, please have them attend. And I know there are a lot of us who are addicted to our cell phones, and we should attend. We're going to have our first annual citywide Easter hunt. This will be hosted by the Mayor Armstead, the City of Linden, and Council. It will be held April 13th, 2019 at 1 o'clock p.m. with a rain date of April 20th, 2019. It will be at Wilson Park on the Summit Terrace side. The Easter egg hunt will be for children 1 year of age through 5th grade. It will be behind the High School Academy building, and parents must accompany their children. We'd ask that you would RSVP by 4/5/19 by calling the mayor's office at 908-474-8493. We're asking that all the council members invite their constituents to this event. In the past, we'd had a number of Easter egg hunts, and it was just becoming a drain on the city resources, having fire engines and having OEM there and the police department. So what we were trying to do now is just to bring everybody together and let them invite their constituents, and we can all have fun on that day, or most of all, the children can have fun that day, and we can all join them as they try to hunt for Easter eggs. Another correspondence here. The Linden High School Food Truck Festival. Come support the Linden High School class of 2022. Enjoy delicious food at the LHS Food Truck Festival, and that will be May 4th, 2019, from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. The location is at School Number 1, 728 Northwood Avenue in Linden. Admission is $5, and it's free admission for kids 5 and under. And again, this is to support the graduating class of Linden High School, class of 2022. It will be here before you know it, and the money that they raise will be used to help fund and support their project graduation, and you all know that our project graduation is designed to help prevent our young people from going out and getting in trouble, or it actually saves lives because we house them in one location to prevent them from getting out and going out and drinking or and driving or doing something that could cause them to harm themselves on graduation night. So, moving right along, Kids to Park Day. Please join the Mayor's Youth Commission and the Linden Department of Public Property and Community Services for a free, fun-filled day of outdoor play and events at Wilson Park, Saturday, May 18th, 2019, from 12 o'clock p.m. to 4 o'clock p.m. Remember to bring your fishing pole because McGilvery Pond will be stocked. There'll be games and fishing and contests. Prizes will be given away. Hot dogs, chips, and water will be given. They'll be available until while supplies last. And the ages for this event will be pre-K to 8th grade. All family members are invited and encouraged to enjoy the park and the fresh air in their community. This is another attempt to try to get people off of their handheld devices and get our children to go out in the park and run around a little bit. Now we can get down to some other business, okay? Last week, we had a company by the name of Sterling Equities come to us, and they proposed to build a 500,000 square foot warehouse. Sterling Equities is the current owners of property that we refer to as the old Siemens warehouse over on Brunswick Avenue in the 8th Ward.
Simmons, Mayor.
Yes.
Simmons.
Oh, Simmons, I'm sorry, Simmons, okay. That's right, Simmons Holdings, okay. They have come to the city with a very good plan, and I think it will definitely uplift the area. One thing we have to remember with this particular company, though, is that they're operating at full capacity. They have no vacancies. They have no problems with renting their space. And they probably will come to this city and ask for a pilot program. I can assure you that we will look at this pilot program very closely. We will guarantee that the amount of taxes that are being paid will be at least what they're paying now, probably greater. But the upside to this is that there'll be a brand new structure, a brand new facility, that when people come and they drive through that area, it'll be aesthetically pleasing. So they're under no pressure to build, okay, because they are fully occupied. So when we do have these discussions, I would hope that those who are interested and would like to discuss the components of the pilot will be more than glad to sit down with you and give you that information. As mentioned earlier by the first ward council person, second ward councilman, Councilman Javik, the JTG scaffolding project demolition will soon begin within the next couple days. Permits have been taken out, and just a few minor things they have to do before they can begin demolition. United Lacquer, if anybody's paid attention, this particular facility has been demoed, and we're looking forward to that development occurring. And I'm going to say last but certainly not least, I would like to thank and commend the members of the Finance Committee. Number one, the first thing we did a few years back was we removed and eliminated a garbage tax. And when we did so, there were a lot of naysayers who said we were doing it for political purposes. We're only going to charge the residents more money the following year. There was a lot of hearsay and conjecture, and I'll just call it rhetoric. But we went on the next year, the following year, and we reduced taxes by $12.77, and as the councilman in the 4th Ward would always say, enough to take you to McDonald's to buy a Big Mac, a fry, and a drink. Wasn't much, but it was something. We did reduce it. We did reduce the taxes. Wasn't much. But once again, as we reduced taxes, we were criticized in doing so because I guess even though it was $12.77, it just wasn't enough. But we were the only municipality in the county who lowered taxes. So once again, they sharpened their pencils, and again, we have another reduction this year. It's not much. You won't be able to buy the Big Mac, the fries, and the drink, but you should be able to get maybe the fries and the drink. Or if you go down to Wendy's, you can get the 5 for $4 special. Okay, so we're doing what we have to do here. It's not easy, but we are lowering taxes. This year, we have a very unique situation in that the governor has given us $3.6 million additional dollars to our school board. That being said, they had already, the school board was prepared to introduce a budget this year with a zero increase as well. And we had been arguing for quite some time that if we can get the cooperation from our school board and our county government, that we could really provide some tax relief in this town. So the school board has committed to a zero increase, and they also have a $3.6 million additional revenues to work with this year. So I think we're in pretty good shape with the Board of Education and our municipal budgets this year. Again, I can't speak for the county, but I hope you're watching because we're televised, and I hope that you would try to do the same. And last but not least, I would like to thank those council members who did their due diligence. I mean, there was a question asked about pilots, and a couple of councilmen had the answers. I don't want to say it was choreographed, but thank you for having the answers. I mean, you did provide the answers to the gentleman who asked. And I will say this, that we all attended a seminar a few weeks back, and we're one of the topics at the seminar, and this seminar was funded by the state, and it was to help us better understand government and help us better understand finance. And one of the topics was pilots. Okay, and they did an extensive presentation on pilots and the use of pilots, and needless to say, we were dead on with our use of the pilots, and the people who did that presentation pretty much agreed with what we're doing with our pilots, because we had not only discussed it at the presentation, but we had since did a follow-up with them, and they pretty much told us that we're dead on with regards to what we're doing here in the city with regards to pilots. And I think we're doing a good job. If it were not for the pilots and it weren't for the increased developments that are occurring in this town, we would not be able to sit up here and tell you that we were lowering your taxes. So once again, I'm going to thank the Finance Committee and the council members who worked on this budget for introducing a budget with a $4.93 reduction. You're to be commended, and you know, let's try to do it again next year. Thank you all. That concludes my reports.
Thank you, Mayor. Also, thank you to Mrs. Zach and her department. Forgot them. Yes. Okay. I just want to give a short little report. Potholes are a big thing around the city. Mr. Dan had spoke about this last evening. And one thing I want to mention, Cranford Avenue is going out to bid in 2 weeks. So their Public Works is doing the best they can to patch it. It's horrible. So it will be getting done very soon. As well as today, it looked like Little Venice on South Park and Linden Avenue. We actually had like a stream going across. Apparently with the concrete and macadam, it creates a gully. So Public Works was out there today working on that. They're playing like whack-a-mole trying to keep it patched, but that will also be getting paved. So please be patient. I'd like to have Mr. Antonelli address a topic. Last month during the resolutions portion, there was a submission of a proposal for Southwood Avenue, and it alluded to that something inappropriate was done by the city. So we did our due diligence to get the right information. So Mr. Antonelli, would you please report on that?
Yes, thank you, Council President. Last month, there was a question posed by Councilman Roman with regard to the submission of a response to an RFP. At that time, it was thought that perhaps there was a typographical error with the date referenced in the resolution with regard to the date of the proposal. And the question was how the developer was able to submit its proposal 3 months before the request for proposals went out for publication. Mr. Poles, who's our redevelopment counsel, did not have that information in his possession that evening. However, the next day, we had checked with the purchasing department and were provided with archived documents showing an affidavit of publication referencing the submission date of February 15th, 2017, which was the date of the proposal. After my review of it and my discussions with redevelopment counsel, there was nothing improper or wrong with what was done. The resolution was in fact correct. It did contain the correct date, and the developer submitted its proposal on the actual due date, not several months before it was due.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Antonelli. Councilman Strano, just corrected me. I made a mistake. It's South Stiles Street, not Southwood Avenue, so thank you. Mayor Armstead forgot to do a proclamation. I guess he did so many this evening that this one fell to the wayside, so he's asking me to please read this. It's a proclamation, whereas the citizens of Linden have a valuable voice to contribute to the discussion of gun violence and should be heard. Prior to and since 2013 resolution, unspeakable mass shootings have and occurred at schools, houses of worship, and public events. Daily shootings occur in our nation's streets and neighborhoods every day, and whereas gun violence affects the lives of hundreds of people daily, now is the time that we take a stronger stand against gun violence and address gun violence in the best way possible that will improve the quality of life in our neighborhoods. And whereas on May 19, 1986, President Ronald Reagan signed and hereby committed into law the Firearms Owners Protection Act, Public Law 99, 2016-308, which included provisions outlawing civilian possession and transfer of machine guns. The provisions of the Firearm Owners Protection Act regarding machine guns resulted from an amendment by the New Jersey Representative William J. Hughes. Whereas it appears that this 1986 law effective in limiting possession and use of machine guns nationwide, and we believe that a reasoned, rational approach for the access to certain weaponry is an essential first step in addressing the scourge of gun violence. And whereas the following measures for the ban on assault firearms should be implemented: in enactment of a ban on the sale, importation, transfer, and ownership of assault firearms, adoption of requirements for thorough background checks for all gun purchases without loopholes, appropriations of funding for additional research into smart gun technology, an increase in the minimum age for purchase of any type of firearm in the United States to 21 years. Whereas implementation of an extensive buyback program should focus specifically on reducing the number of assault firearms and other military-style semi-automatic weapons currently in circulation across the country. Fund gun violence research and no longer include language in the federal budget or elsewhere that would restrict the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention or other federal agencies from expanding funds for research on gun violence. And now there be it proclaimed that I, Derek Armstead, Mayor of the City of Linden in the state of New Jersey, designate that on this 19th day of March 2019, support the ban of assault firearms. Signed, Derek Armstead, Mayor of the City of Linden. Thank you, Mayor. Okay, we're going to now move on to resolutions. 2019-119, 2019-160. Public comments will be permitted for those specific resolutions to be removed from consent approval. Each member of the public shall be given 3 minutes to speak on a resolution that they requested to be removed from the agenda. If they request more than one resolution to be removed, regardless of the number, they will have a total of 5 minutes to speak on all. Please read the synopsis of each resolution, which has been prepared by the City Clerk's office. Each is informative and self-explanatory. However, if you wish to address a specific resolution, the council will entertain questions on that. Does anyone wish to remove a resolution 119 through 160? Mrs. Malik? Okay, anyone else? Mr. Principato?
126, 131, 144, 148, 156, and 159.
Okay, anyone else? Mr. Halloran?
Yes. 139 to 143.
139?
Yeah, through 143. They're all connected. And then I have a separate question on 140.
Okay. Okay.
Council President, could I have 136 as well?
All right. Mrs. Malik, would you please come up?
Should we do the rest of them first? Motion to get the rest of them out.
We're gonna.
Address all these together?
Yes.
Very quick. Councilman.
Hold on 1 second,
oh,
Ms. Malik. Okay.
Council President, I make a motion to adopt resolutions 120 through 160, besides the ones that were pulled, and I ask for a second.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mrs. Yemakaitis?
Yes. Okay, Mrs. Malik. Sorry about
When Councilwoman Hickey was talking about a grant for these parks. So in 126, when they talk about making an application, this is a grant that we're going after? Is that what you're referring to? Got it. Okay. On 132, someone just to explain, for host community benefits pursuant to the Major Hazardous Waste Act, what is this? What does this mean?
Okay, could you ask the rest of your questions and we'll...
All right. Then on 144, I think it was last month, I questioned or I had an issue about the Linden First Employment Readiness and then the Communities in Cooperation. So money was allocated last month or the month before, and now I see another 20,000. So I'd like to know the relationship between Communities in Cooperation with the Linden First Employment Readiness. I thought that money of 10,000 or 20,000 a while ago was to handle everything, and I see another 20,000 coming up. And the last issue on 152, I thought that we did have already a program where a concerned citizen could dial in or go on a website to report about a pothole or some issue that has to do with a work order. And now I see here this Pub Works at their low quote of $25,000. My question is, if we have something already to do this, why are we going out for another quote? That's 152, something called Pub Works. I thought we already had something to put a question out or to report an issue.
Okay, Mrs. Malik, I'm going to ask the department heads to respond. Mr. Dan, would you please speak on 152?
Certainly. This software reports much, much better regarding individual calls. In other words, this will, let's just say, for instance, if you call on a certain issue in front of your house, there's a permanent log of you calling, and then if another call comes in your area, it'll log it on a map. So all of a sudden now we're seeing a problem in the sanitary sewer. The former software that we've been using didn't automatically log it onto a map. So this is a much more enhanced type software.
All right, so, but even if just someone reporting something, you think that should be sufficient for them to go out. So I just questioned the 25,000 for it. Okay, next.
Mrs.
And I can
Zach,
address later with you.
on the
Sure.
parks, would you be able to respond to that, and the Green Acres?
We're applying for the Green Acres grant. The funding
So it is a
cycles
grant,
every 2
okay.
years. We have been successful in the past to be able to get substantial park improvements through our Green Acres. The parks that I believe that we're utilizing or trying to utilize through this grant, we're going to be Veterans Memorial Park, Beano's Pond, as well as Wilson Park, total park and pond improvements for the multi-park improvements.
Right, so are there other people going after this $1 million grant, or we just for Linden can go after this $1 million?
Statewide they can, yes.
Okay, so.
Yes, it's competitive.
All right, very competitive, okay.
Also, Mrs. Zach, on 132, on Safety Clean.
Yep,
Yes,
specifically host community benefits.
This is a long-standing host community benefit that the city has had since the 80s. What we were able to do successfully through negotiations, Mr. Saul Wolf had worked on this agreement. The agreement had ended last year, so we were able to negotiate an increase. We normally had gotten anywhere between $80,000 and $90,000. It's now going to be a minimum of $123,000, and we're also looking for a 5% increase thereafter through this host community benefit.
Okay.
And it's a budgeted revenue in our budget.
Okay, and
All
Mrs.
right.
Zach, the Communities in
144.
Cooperation.
Yes, Ms. Malik, you had spoke about this in January. It was in
Right.
January that we had done, and based on a temporary budget, that we had appropriated $10,000, and that was till April 1st. This resolution allows us to continue the services of CIC from April 1st until December 31st for the remainder of the year, and it's exactly what you had mentioned about
Right.
the work program.
Right, so it's going to be for 30,000.
The
10,
total
that was
contract.
10, and then now 20 for the rest of the
Yes,
year.
ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Malik. Mr. Principato.
John Principato, 1706 Westover Road. Can you just give me the ground rules here? Because I don't think I
I'm going to give all
understood.
your questions, and then if you would please be seated, we'll have the department heads. I'll call on them to address your concerns.
So wait a minute. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4.
We're given a total of
5
5 minutes.
6. Okay. Can we stop the clock after I ask my question and then have everyone answer it? Then restart the clock, I'll ask another question and have everybody, I mean, it's not going to work. It's not going to work if I ask 6 questions and they're not going to remember what I'm asking.
This is the process. Mrs. Malik was able to do it, so we asked you to please try.
And I didn't understand, I couldn't understand what was going on. I mean, the
Council
process
President-
is flawed.
Council President, may I just interrupt? Mr.
Yes.
Principato is actually eating up his 5 minutes by questioning on this, rather than just asking the questions about the resolutions.
Mr. Principato, please ask your question.
Oh, thank you for that, counsel. Appreciate it.
126 was the first one you requested.
126. Okay. Okay, that is a grant, correct? That we're applying for?
Yes.
Okay. All right. 131. Okay, so this is going to be all acting municipal prosecutors. I don't understand what this says. For a complete year, we're going to spend $6,000 completely on acting municipal
I will ask
prosecutors.
Mr. Antonelli to explain that.
Okay.
Okay. How about 144? That's the CI community.
Right, that's the one that
That
was
she just
spoken of.
spoke on.
So there's a total now of $30,000 given to Communities in Cooperation, Inc.?
I'll have
So
Mrs.
last month, we gave them, or well, about 2 months ago, we gave them 10,000, is that correct?
We will have that. Could you ask the rest of your questions, and then we'll have it addressed?
Well, I'm wondering, are we going to be here next month and ask for another $20,000? I mean, this is ridiculous. Come on. If you're going to come every month and ask for $20,000, you know, we're going to be at $300,000 before you know it. So it doesn't make any sense to me.
148.
Yeah, I'm trying to read these. Okay, what are we going to share as far as maintenance goes with the SIDS district? Or do they have employees that work for them, and then we're going to be utilizing those employees to do work on Wood Avenue or maintenance on Wood Avenue? Or are they going to share in more of our city services, and they're going to take away from our city employees working for us? There's no way these are going to be answered.
156.
Resolution.
It's on the Assistant Public Defender.
What's the, okay, this is amending a salary for an assistant public defender to $30,000. What was the salary prior to that?
Okay.
Can I get an answer? I mean,
We will
we
give
could,
you
we
an
could eat up my time. You know, I got to be honest with you, since I have another minute and a half to talk about these things, that this is just, this is wrong. There's no way that you guys are going to be able to answer my questions.
This is all just the resolutions, Mr.
Right, I get it. Resolution authorizing City of Linden's self-examination of the budget as provided for NJSA blah, 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 for municipalities in sound fiscal condition to assume the responsibility normally granted to the Director of the Division of the Local Government Services of conducting the annual budget examination. The City of Linden was declared eligible by the Division of Local Government Services. So are we going to oversee our own budget? Is that what this is? Whereas prior to that, it was examined by the Director of the Division of Local Government Services. So we're going to oversee our own budget? We'll self-examine our budget? That's the question I have on that, because that to me isn't making much sense either. I think I have 8 seconds. At the risk of wasting time, anyone's time here, I would just like to say thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Principato. Mrs. Zach, could you please speak on Resolution 159?
Yes. Mr. Principato, the self-examination of the budget is allowed
So
by
Alex,
criteria-
could you speak up? We can't hear you down here.
by criteria by the state of New Jersey. A municipality that meets certain criteria is allowed to have a self-review every 2 years. The third year, the state reviews. Last year, we were self-examined. This year, this resolution allows us to be self-examined. And then next year, the state will be reviewing. So this is not just unique to Linden. All municipalities in the state of New Jersey, if they meet certain criteria such as payment of interest and debt, deferred charges and statutory obligations, cash deficits, our reserve for uncollected taxes, and the amounts of our reserves. By having that criteria, we're allowed to pass this resolution. I, as Chief Financial Officer, certify that we are in compliance with those, and then next year, the state will be reviewing ours. Budget resolution.
Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Zach. Mr. Antonelli, 156, on the Assistant Public Defender.
Yes, Michelle Welsh was appointed in January by council. She is the Assistant Public Defender for a salary of $20,500. After going over the number of court sessions and having discussions with the Chief Public Defender, it was determined that she should receive an increase, which is reflected in this resolution, if passed, for $30,000. I will say this, with regard to that increase in salary, it's at no cost to the taxpayer. Each time an individual is approved for public defender services, the court is able to charge, if you will, anywhere from $50 to $200 for those services. Those funds go into a dedicated trust account and are required to be used for public defender services, which could include, in this case, additional salary if a need arises to retain an expert to defend in a case, for example, driving under the influence. So this increase does not impact the taxpayer. It comes out of that trust fund.
Thank you, Mr. Antonelli. Could you address resolution number 148 regarding the SID, shared maintenance?
This is a resolution that, if approved, would allow a shared services agreement between the City of Linden and the Special Improvement District. What this does is it allows for 2 part-time maintenance workers that are dedicated to the SID district and are required to perform maintenance duties, obviously maintain Wood Avenue with regard to garbage disposal and other activities. They are city employees, Mr. Principato. You would ask that question. There's an arrangement by which the Special Improvement District would be reimbursing the city for those services, but they are 2 part-time maintenance DPW workers.
Okay. Mrs. Zach, again on the Communities Incorporated.
Yes, the resolution that the governing body passed in January was based on, we were running on a temporary budget. So the funds that were allocated at that resolution in January that was not to exceed the $10,000. That resolution was till April 1st. This resolution allows us from April 1st until the end of the year, December 31st, to budget the additional $20,000. The total for the year in the budget is $30,000. $10,000 for the temporary budget, and now from April until December will be the additional $20,000 for a total contract of $30,000. There's no other funds allocated for that specific purpose, so it should not exceed $30,000 in total.
Thank you, Mrs. Zach. Mr. Antonelli, Resolution 131 regarding the acting municipal prosecutors.
This resolution, if approved, allocates or encumbers, if you will, out of my budget, $6,000, which covers 20 court sessions where our either chief prosecutor or assistant prosecutor is unable to make it to court, either because he or she is on vacation, has a sick day or a personal day. The city does, pursuant to its personnel policy, grant the individuals in those positions vacation, sick, and pay time. It's minimal because it's based upon a shorter day, but in any event, it's an appropriation and then will be drawn down at the appropriate time when coverage is needed, and it's also a check and balance on the number of sessions that are being covered by it says acting, but it's a substitute prosecutor.
Thank you, Mr. Antonelli. And once again, Mrs. Zach on 126 with the Green Acres program.
Yes, this is a Green Acres program that allows for the municipalities to apply for a grant. The grant, again, as I mentioned, has various multi-park elements that we're applying for. We have been successful in the past to been awarded Green Acres funding for our various park projects.
Thank you, Mrs. Zach. Okay, Mr. Halloran.
Briefly, I don't want to take up that much time. Resolutions 139 through 143. Do Construction Board of Appeals personnel get paid, and if they do, how much? And I noticed that wasn't in the resolution. And on 140, Dennis Carbone, I know at one time was a plumbing inspector for the town. Is this a conflict of interest? And I'll get any answers I need from my councilman. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Halloran. Mr. Bodak, would you be able to answer those questions on the construction?
Sure. It's an unpaid board. It's when decisions are made by the construction code department. If a contractor disagrees with those decisions, they have the right to appeal to this board. It's a board that's established in state statute, and the statute defines the qualifications for the individuals. The issue of a conflict, I don't have an answer on.
Mr. Antonelli, would you be able to respond to that?
Not at this moment in time, but we would certainly look into it.
Okay, Mr. Halloran, we'll get back to you on that. Okay. Councilman Roman, 136.
Thank you, Council President. I pulled 136 resolution accepting the resignation of Rich Koziel as a member of the Zoning Board of Adjustments effective March 5th, 2019. I served with Rich on the zoning board. Rich is basically one of the smartest people in this city when it comes to government administration. He served probably 3 terms up here on council, Board of Ed. I mean, he knows his stuff. After his service with the city ended on council, he was given a contract by the city council to rebrand the city. And all the flyers you've been seeing over the last couple of years, year or two, have been of his doing. And they've been good, and it was really like a good step forward for the city of Linden. I spoke on this last meeting, and I'm not bashing the new vendor, who seems also very capable and good. However, he was not told. Someone who served this city for 20 or 30 years wasn't told that his parsley contract that he probably made $10 an hour doing because he would pump out things he wouldn't charge us for anyway because he loves this city and loved the work he was doing, And it's all because he didn't bend the knee. It's all because he didn't write a check. It's all because he tried to stay neutral. That's part of the resolution. So with respect, Council President, sorry, I'm going to keep to that. He didn't bend the knee. And now he's resigning the zoning board. And the zoning board is lesser because of it. Because that guy has institutional knowledge about this city. Some members on this council right now consider him a mentor. So I pulled this because I wanted to speak to this. I know why he's resigning. It's because he's just so dissatisfied with how things went. And it was disrespectful. You don't treat a former councilman like that because he won't write a check.
Council President.
Thank you.
Councilman Brown?
Yes. All right. I wasn't planning on speaking about this. Councilman Colza used to sit right next to me. We talk. A lot of the flyers that he's helped out with, me and him have talked about. We've sat down, we've talked with Councilman Medina on strategy with the city and the branding and things of this nature. What I don't like is when someone speaks for someone who's not here, because there's a lot of misinformation. If anyone has a question about anyone, ask that person directly. Do not listen to all the rhetoric that goes up here, because sometimes, and a lot of times, that stuff is wrong. I'm sorry. This should be something, if the gentleman's resigning, whoever it is, ask them why. And I was not told that reason. To sit up here and say it's about a check, I'm sorry. That is what's leading us down this slippery path of people making accusations that are untrue, that keep fueling fire. That was something that was totally uncalled for. And I think that this stuff needs to stop. That is false information that no one here in council was provided with. So, Council President, I just ask that we go through with this resolution and we stop this accusations that are being made that are unfounded.
Thank you, Councilman
Thank
Brown. Okay, can I have a motion on the resolutions that were not previously removed? That were removed, rather.
Council President, I move the resolution 120 to 160 with the exceptions of those aforementioned. And ask for a second.
Second.
No, this is the ones that were pulled. The ones that we just spoke on. 126, 131, 132, 130, 136, 139,
140, 141, 143, 144, 148,
152,
152, 156,
and 159. Ask for a second.
Yes. I move a resolution 120 to 126 with the exception, with the exception.
With the ones I just read.
The ones you just read, and ask for a second.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mrs. Yemakaitis?
Yes. Ordinances on first reading. Okay, Ms. Deputy Clerk, would you please read ordinance number 6314?
An ordinance to establish a cat bank pursuant to NJSA 40A:4-45.14 for the calendar year 2019. I need a motion.
Can I have a motion to introduce ordinance 6314?
Yes, I make a motion to introduce ordinance 63-14. Ask for a second.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Mr. Javik?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Medina? Hickey?
Yes.
Mrs. Yemakaitis?
Yes. Ordinance 6315.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Linden dedicating Senator Joseph Saliga Way pursuant to NJSA 40:67-1 et sequence.
Okay, can I have a motion on ordinance 6315?
Council President, I move that ordinance number 6315 be introduced and request a second.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes. Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mrs. Yemakaitis?
Yes. Ordinance 6316.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 31 zoning of an ordinance entitled, An Ordinance Adopting and Enacting the Revised General Ordinances of the City of Linden, 1999, passed November 23rd, 1999, and approved November 24th, 1999, and as amended and supplemented. Revised Section 31-20.25 prohibited uses, add Section F, the operation of retail marijuana stores or retail sales of marijuana.
Okay, can I have a motion on 6316?
Council President, make a motion for ordinance 63-16 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Mr. Javik?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
No.
Strano?
Yes.
Hickey?
No.
Mrs. Yemakaitis?
Yes. Ordinance 6317.
An ordinance to amend an ordinance entitled, An Ordinance Establishing a Schedule of Titles, Salary Ranges, and Regulations for Maintaining the Classification and Salary Standardization Plan of all employees of the City of Linden, passed August 15, 1995, and approved August 16, 1995, adding Schedule 4 and N3.
Can I have a motion on ordinance 6317?
Council President, make a motion for ordinance 63-17, ask for a second.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Mr. Javik?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mrs. Yemakaitis?
Yes. Ordinance 6318.
An ordinance amending Chapter 7 Traffic, Section 10, entitled Parking Prohibited at All Times on Certain Streets. Add West Elizabeth Avenue, South Side, from a point 210 feet east of the east curb line of Donaldson Place and continuing 35 feet in an easterly direction.
Can I have a motion on
Council-
ordinance?
Yes. Council President, I'd like to make a motion to introduce ordinance number 63-18 and ask for a second, please.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Mr. Javik?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mrs. Yemakaitis?
Yes. Okay. Comments from members of the public in attendance on city business only. No personal, political, or derogatory comments. Not to exceed 5 minutes. Is there anyone that did not get a chance to sign the sheets to speak at this time? Please come up and sign in. Yes. Oh, we have one more resolution that was added. We'll go back to comments. Mr. Bodek, could you please?
Resolution appointing Gazar Consulting LLC to perform forensic accounting and auditing services. Whereas on February 19, 2019, City Council adopted a resolution forming a Municipal Council Investigatory Committee, MCI, and whereas in order to assist the MCI in its investigation, the MCI needs to hire the services of a forensic accountant to perform auditing services. And whereas pursuant to the local public contracts law, NJSA 48:11 et sequence, such services are considered professional services as within the scope of a licensed and regulated profession, and the same may be awarded without competitive bidding. And whereas the city attorney has certified that the cost of said services will not exceed $17,500, and whereas the chief financial officer or his designee has certified to the availability of funds for this purpose to be charged to account number 9-01-20-155-123-255. Now therefore be resolved by the City Council of the City of Linden as follows. City Council hereby awards a contract to Gazal Consulting LLC, P.O. Box 1378, Heightstown, New Jersey, in an amount not to exceed $7,500. This resolution is expressly contingent upon the negotiation and execution of the necessary contract documents between Gazelle Consulting LLC and the City of Linden. 3, the mayor and the city clerk are hereby authorized to execute all documents to effectuate the purposes herewithin above expressed.
Okay. Does anyone wish to speak on this resolution? Mr. Principato?
John Principato, what exactly is this accounting firm going to be looking into?
Do you have any other further questions on this?
Well, I may have a follow-up question, which leads me, this is why this is a flawed system. If I ask a
Speak on the
question and I don't get the
resolution,
answer
please.
that I want, or would like to, I'm not satisfied with that answer, and I'd like to ask a follow-up question,
can
even
always
though I
call the
still have
department
time
head.
on the clock, I can't do that. So that's why it's a flawed system. So I may have a follow-up question. I have 2.5 minutes. Can I get an answer?
Mr. Antonelli? The clock is
As
still
you're aware,
going,
Mr. Principato, the council authorized a municipal investigation committee last month. As a part of that process, the committee has asked for this resolution, which would authorize the hiring of an accountant who would conduct some auditing services with regard to certain documents at issue, with regard to the underlying purpose of the investigatory committee. And this individual would look at purchase orders, other documents, city policies, court records, ultimately providing a report to the investigatory committee, who is, as you know, looking into certain issues with regard to a former employee.
So, there are court issues? Is that what it is? Issues to do with court proceedings here?
Mr. Principato, it's a personnel matter. It deals with a certain former employee, and there is certain questions that need to be looked into, and that's what this accountant would do, would look into certain records that are within the city concerning court appearances, payment for substitute prosecutors, whatever else may be at issue. But beyond that, I'm not going to be able to discuss anything further.
Gotcha. Anybody else want to
I will
elaborate?
I will call on them, Mr. Principato.
Okay, thank you.
Please have a seat. Thank you. Any members of the, Mrs. Hickey?
Yes. Like it was mentioned.
Council President, if I may, as I indicated in caucus, as far as any discussions, debate.
I remember.
With regard to, no, this is not directed at you, Councilwoman, it's the Council President, that, you know, there needs to be a motion and a second, at which time then members of council could comment on the resolution before, and then once the roll call is called, then it's just a vote up or down, no further explanation at that time.
Okay. Can I have a motion on this resolution? I believe it's 161. Any discussion? Now's your time. Can I have a second on it?
Second.
You want to speak on it? No. Can we have a? You seconded. Okay. All right. Does anybody have a discussion on it? Councilman said. You can now. I told you. Now's your time.
Correct.
Confused there. I think I need a button that says green for go and red for stop. I don't know. But yes, as I spoke of before, which the attorney said this pertains to the investigative committee, who has subpoena authorities, but no background checks on anything. You know, in effect, and I'm not allowed to mention names or whatever, that it's inappropriate, but we had a law committee in effect. We have a personnel department. We have all this stuff. You know, this is the same scenario as when we need to find a person for a position, so we hire the headhunter for $6,500, and we already know who the person's going to be. This is how this is working. I mean, come on, stop, every $7,500, you know, fix a damn pothole in my ward, really. Thank you.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
I don't know anything about this vendor, and I know nothing.
Council President, as I indicated,
There's no discussion right now.
no
It's either
discussion
yes,
once
no,
the
or
roll
abstain
call
at this
is
point.
called.
We got this tonight. No. I don't know what I'm voting on. I have no clue.
Strano?
Yes.
Medina?
No.
Hickey?
No.
Mrs. Yamakaitis?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Okay, we're going to move on to comments from members of the public. Again, no personal, political, or derogatory comments. Is there anyone that did not get a chance to sign in the sheets in the front of the room? If not, please come up if you'd like to speak. Is there more sheets down there, Joe? Thank you. Okay, I'm going to start with Mr. Halloran. Please come up. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you. First of all, good evening. I didn't say that before. Craig Halloran, 120 Donaldson Place. From the caucus meeting last night, there was some discussion about reverse tax appeals. Okay, I believe that Councilman Gavick had asked the city attorney about how that money was going to be put aside, and I believe it was said that 100% was going to be put aside for future appeals. I think that the money should be split 50% to be used for settle future appeals, 25% in a reserve, and 25% to lower the taxes in the city. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Halloran. Scott Garrett.
Go in that box. Pass me the budget. There's just one. I'll show you. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I'll give it to you.
Scott Gavitt, DeWitt Terrace. Last year, I stood before this council and asked for less drama, fighting, and public displays of poor behavior. Clearly, I missed the mark. I harbor no animus or ill will towards you, but can you say the same towards each other? The willing and eagerness of your attacks on each other has taken on a new form. Contempt towards your constituents. How else could I interpret your actions? Attempting to restrict public comments during meetings, dismissing their comments for being too young or living here for a short period of time, labeling them political operatives, hissing at them. Really? Or questioning a citizen's intent based on a political association. Each of these examples actually happened, and happened here in this room. I encourage dissent and fighting for what you believe in, but the actions in this room should concern us all. If you want to shorten the length of meetings, start on time, stop bickering, and do your job. I thought I could come here and together we could raise the bar on how we might expect a city council meeting to go, but I couldn't find it. I never once thought to look down and see how low that bar had been set. I understand that it is easy for me to say such things. It is easier to be critical of the boss than to actually be the boss, and your concern is duly noted. But each of you has made that choice, not me. I view this as a sad commentary. Basic manners and respect should not be why I am here again. Do not confuse my statements on working together with the expectation of actually liking each other. I really don't care. I speak to you to respect each other and, by extension, the citizens in your roles as officials. Mocking or dismissing the people you took an oath to serve should be a path to your obscurity. I call on my fellow citizens to share their feelings with their elected officials. Leave a message and tell them what you really think about their actions. Post your thoughts on Facebook and try not to get blocked. Go out and vote, run for office. Just do something. Do not be bashful, but please do be respectful. To paraphrase former U.S. Senator Alan Simpson, those who travel the high road of humility are not bothered by heavy traffic. In my observation, that high road does not travel through Linden. I would propose that time, energy, and resources be better spent on building an on-ramp than pettiness, vindictiveness, or thinly veiled political retribution. I have spoken with several council members and had good discussions with Councilman Brown about topics as diverse as marijuana, the art house, and astronomy for children. I aspire to be able to speak as well as Councilwoman Ormond. And I've also spent a Sunday afternoon messaging with the mayor about something I wrote about him. So it can be done. Be respectful and never bring their families into it. But if those same family members inject themselves, you cannot play in the mud and wonder why you got dirty. Respectfully, you work for us, in our, not your interest. The solution is easy. Taking the high road is free. If I can impress upon the citizens to be respectful of you, would it be too much to ask that you do the same? I do have to ask myself, do I really think what I say will make a difference? But my belief is based on the fact that in this country, you can be anyone and you can do almost anything, including calling out the childish behavior of their elected officials. Our First Amendment is abundantly clear in our ability to speak freely and ask for the redress of grievances from our government. It would not be a wise decision to restrict our ability to speak, nor is it wise to dismiss us.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Gavitt.
I went over.
Ms. Vlasic?
Kelly Vlasic, 30 West Curtis Street. Oh, boy. All right. I have always been one to try to see the good in all situations, even if the situation is not the best at time. It has become quite disheartening to see the treatment of citizens of Linden by some of the governing body that sits before us tonight. As I stand here, I am very well aware of the fact that most of what is said to you falls on deaf ears. In an ideal world, the citizens of this city, like myself, would feel that when there are issues in the wards, that can easily be remedied by reaching out to a council member, council president, or the mayor. The fact is, that is not the case here in Linden. I have been complaining for over a year about a drain from the sewer system outside of my home. If you remember, I brought it up last month. The street is literally sinking in. The metal structure around the drain has become disattached several times, and DPW simply comes and pushes it back, does nothing else. Now that Wells Park is coming along nicely, might I add, I would think that this would be an issue. Does the city need another lawsuit by somebody getting hurt? As you are aware, my home is between two schools, school number 1 and the high school. It is a complete mess between 245 and 315. A couple of years back, there was security making sure that kids were walking home, not throwing trash, not stealing packages, not being disorderly or destroying property. Why was security stopped? The rowdiness from the high school is so much that as they walk towards school, 1, we have younger kids coming in the opposite direction, who are now being forced to walk in the street. I myself have gone out several times to have children who are maybe the most in the 4th or the 5th grade moved so that they don't get hit by a car. Our councilwoman for the first ward says that she's so interested in the children in our ward, yet nobody does anything about this. I've complained about this several times. Now, I know some city workers take and get personally offended when you speak on some issues. I've been told in messages from a city employee that works for the mayor's office, actually, that when we do speak up, when she didn't agree with something that I said, that if I wanted to, I could leave Linden. Well, guess what? That's not the answer that I or any taxpayer in this city should hear. I speak on not only behalf of myself, but on my neighbors when I say that a lot of us have worked very long and hard for our homes and have lived there a great deal of time. So for anybody sitting on this governing body to tell us that if we do not like something that we should leave, there's an issue. Everybody sitting before us today was put there by us. So as one of the council people stated, somebody was calling jobs or reaching out or whatever. The same way that people who are on the governing body thought it was okay to reach out to private citizens' jobs, us citizens are allowed to come here and speak to the employees here, which to an extent, we are your bosses. You are supposed to represent us, and you are supposed to do it with dignity and respect. That's not being done. This misuse of power, the bullying, the racism, the lies, the inconsistencies, it all needs to stop. There are many small businesses in Linden. Guess what? They matter too. They matter just as much as Meridia does. They matter just as much as these big corporations coming into the city do. Some of the people sitting in here tonight are small business owners. Their voice is not any less important than any of these companies that we're giving tax abatements, breaks, and quite honestly, canoodling at restaurants and so on and so forth. Were any of these small businesses or any of these average Joe taxpayers not worth a $1,000 a plate fundraiser? Is it because our voice is not as important as the people who were there? I think not. You know what the answer is? I think some of you sitting up there are not good enough for this city anymore. I think our citizens, our kids, and our society deserve better than what some of you are doing. I was asked a question by the wife of somebody who's sitting up here just 2 weeks ago. She reached out to me and asked, why is it that she's not liked? I'm going to tell you what my answer was. When you do things that are not likable or are not respectable to taxpayers, you will not be liked, you will not be respected because you are not treating us respectably. So on that, I'd like to say that hopefully, now that the taxpayers are speaking up, I look forward to the opportunity that some of you up there are replaced.
Thank you, Ms. Vlasic. Ms. Vlasic, I would just like to ask that you see Mr. Frank Dan. He tried to catch you after the last meeting regarding the basin, and he did look into it. I will have him give you an update, so please don't leave. He would like to speak to you afterwards. Okay. Ms. Malik?
I'll be more brief than what I expected, and what Mr. Scott Davitt said, I agree with him 100%, and I hope everyone in this room takes heed to what he has to say. What prompted me coming up here was from last week when I found out that we are going to be having a time limitation to speak. And I know Council President Yamakaitis, you had said some of your constituents are concerned that the meetings are going too long. It's 10 o'clock. And Councilwoman Ormond, you had said, well, why don't you go to the caucus meeting? I'll just make 2 quick comments. People come up to me and out of the clear blue, I don't know who they are, thanking me for asking the questions and for going to the caucus meeting. The caucus meeting is not televised. For all the years that I've been coming to the council meeting, maybe a handful of times I've gone to the caucus. And I have always been asked to leave because of executive session. When I tried to ask some questions, that was not the right forum for me to be asking the questions. So go, and also for the amount of time that you have to go there and then additionally come here, it's double duty for me, and I'm not getting paid for this. Also, I'd just like to bring up, on prefacing my comments, is that this is a forum where you're only be talking about city business, and that is it. So keep that in the back of your mind. Also keep in the back of your mind, for everyone here on both sides of this counter, that you have to learn time management and apply it on both sides, and also to be in control of the situation. When things get out of control, stop it. Don't let it continue. So a few comments that I can add to what Mr. Gavitt had said is that everyone here, let me take a step back. Everyone loves our police department, our fire department. They do an excellent job. But I cannot understand, if we're trying to save time, and I even brought this up with Robert Bunk years ago, that why do we have to have every single council person, thank you for this, thank you for that. What I suggest is, Councilwoman Yamakaitis, why don't you just say it collectively? These officers and the firemen and women know that they're being appreciated, and that wastes time. Also, I think a lot of the comments that are made are kind of ego building. They're chit-chatting. They're thanking them for this and that, maybe singling out a certain person. If you want to do this, maybe call me old-fashioned, but the best way to thank someone, when was the last time you ever wrote a note to somebody? Maybe you can text them or tweet them or email them, but send them a note if you really appreciate that person. This is not a forum to be saying, oh, thank you very much, you've helped me. Now, maybe there's an event in your area. Councilwoman Hickey was mentioning something about an event that had happened, and you wanted to thank that person. You can call out to that person. That's fine. But calling out someone had asked me or a family member to say happy birthday, this or that, that's personal. What does it have to do with a council meeting? A few other things, I mentioned about the shout-outs for family, thanking people. Then you have like the personal slurs, and I empathize with you, Councilman Brown, maybe the situation that you're having, but this is still not the forum. What I would suggest is, are you getting a subpoena, or are you doing something about a restraining order for this person? They should be discussed outside of this room. Okay, because we're all talking about cutting time and not wasting time. And the last thing I'd like to say is about having this televised. Everyone watches this. Any business that wants to come into the city, any person that wants to come in the city are going to be vetting the city with all the formats and forms that are available, including having this televised. And I empathize with you, Councilwoman Ormond, where you went to this training and they were just laughing at you. Just imagine people in the city of Linden, how I feel about the decorum of the people. And it's a shame that you took it to heart, which you should, that you're a very nice person, but to first looks at somebody, unfortunately, it'll stay with them. But the bottom line is, I made a few of the comments where accusations, thanking people, you got to keep this to a minimum. And I think you, Council President Yamakaitis, take control of the meeting. When someone's coming up here and talking too much, put an end to it.
Thank
even
you,
if they have the
Mrs.
5
Malik.
minutes.
Thank you. Brian Schaefer? Could you please state your address, name and address?
Brian Schaefer, out of town, Linden letter carrier, 400 Northwood Avenue. We have about 50 workers at our office, and we're playing a game now because everybody's getting there an hour early because we have limited parking in our parking lot. We used to park on a street behind us, and now we can't do that anymore. Mrs. Ormond, imagine scrambling while they're milling the road. Imagine doing that for me for my next 8 years. So I just want to, I know where I can't park. I just want to know where I can park.
Thank you, Mr. Schaefer. John Kazar? You ready? Please put your microphone on.
Find it hilarious. We're told to come here now that we come, we can't be blocked and deleted. So it's said that we're berating people. Better question is, why are you the ones being berated? Last month I stated that we pay attention to details, how it speaks volumes. Let's touch on a few things. You talk about bringing the city together. Last month was Black History Month. One day after last month's meeting, Councilwoman Ormond posted an article recognizing the top African-American politicians in New Jersey. You went on to congratulate your brother, Mayor Armstead, for making the list, and also congratulated yourself for making honorable mention. It was too much for you to recognize one of your peers, a sitting council member, because your pride got in the way. This is petty, and you could call me the petty police. This is weak and not a sign of a good leader. And she didn't only make honorable mention, she actually made the list. Congratulations, Councilwoman Cosby, for the recognition. Keeping it right here for a second, you listened when I said your first word page explicitly describes the page as non-political, but the very first post was about your brother and politics. Instead of removing the political post, you went on to remove the non-political description of the page. Laughable. On March 1st, the name of the Armstead-controlled Linden, New Jersey Facebook page was changed for the first time since it was created back in July 2015 from Linden, New Jersey to Linden, New Jersey Friends. Do you really think we're that stupid? Did you unblock and allow the hundreds of residents you currently have blocked to rejoin? The biggest joke in all of this is that you removed the Armsteads as the administrators. Councilwoman Ormond and Mayor Armstead have been replaced with the council president's husband, so that they now can say there's no politicians running the page. Only the mayor's wife and the council president's husband. Changing the name and the admins of the page in the middle of the game is akin to putting lipstick on a pig. Listen, I can't speak for everyone, but I see right through the games. The appropriate name for the page is Armstead's Linden, New Jersey Friends page. Council President Yamakaitis, please, please, please stop sliding in the DM, as the kids say, of another popular Linden Facebook page's admin at 5:58 in the morning, speaking your legalese, threatening legal actions, and posts are in this attorney's hands, and trying to strong-arm the admin to delete posts on a page you have nothing to do with, all because the truth of the Armsteads are trying to block on their page is being spread to this page. Thank the Armsteads for creating this environment. Mr. Mayor, my man, you know I couldn't forget you. You love, and when I say love, I mean with a capital L-O-V-E, to post everything. Every single event you are at, you post pictures of. I find it most peculiar that there is not one picture from your extravagant $1,000 a plate fundraiser from last Monday night. It really begs the question, why would you not want everyone to see all of your invited guests? That certainly must have been they certainly must have been proud to be supporting your newest group of puppets. Sounds more like pay to play to me. What's up, Dad? Class of '69, 50-year reunion, May 11th. My biggest gripe with the Armsteads is trying to insult my intelligence. And I don't mean 2 + 2 intelligence. I mean thinking I can't figure out the games in 2.2 seconds. I actually care that you insult the intelligence of your supporters and think they can't figure it out. You blindly post non-factual posts, and your supporters hoot and holler over them when they're not true. I really don't even care who the 8th Ward Council person will be at this point. But to post on March 12th that the courts have already decided the issue when you knew you had court on the 15th is reckless. But since it's on your family's Facebook page, there is no one to hold you accountable. Either that, or they're afraid to speak up because they'll be banned from your page. Finally, Mayor Armstead, just do me a favor. If you want to test your supporters' intelligence, I'm flattered that you pick and choose a few of my memes to repost in an attempt to garner sympathy. But if you're going to repost one, repost them all, because I would love to see you attempt to explain away the hyperbole behind them all while simultaneously thinking they're too stupid to figure it out themselves. You guys cry you're being bullied. What's really happening here is a classic case of the bullies being bullied and then running and crying victim. As far as the anonymous names go, listen, we're done picking and choosing who's posting the anonymous names. John Umdi, Anthony Kent, Anthony Kent, Anthony Kent, okay? From now on, you guys post anonymously, it's all of you. We're not going around trying to figure out who it is. Have a blessed evening.
Thank you, Mr. Kazar. Mr. Principato. Mr. Principato.
Boy, this is probably one of the toughest council meetings as far as following people that I've ever been to before, and I want to say that I'm not going to try to one-up any of those people because they did a fantastic job. I think that the constituents of the 8th Ward deserve something from the council president. I don't want that to bite into my 5 minutes, but I remember council president saying that she can handle the 8th Ward and the council president seat, and we haven't had a report since. So I think the constituents of the 8th Ward deserve some sort of report, and I'm not trying to make a joke here. I really honestly believe that. I know a lot of people in the 8th Ward. I want to go back. Today, I don't know who put the 10 Commandments of public civility up here, but I'm going to go through them real quick. Thou shalt not rudely interrupt a colleague mid-sentence, not speak over a colleague while he or she is speaking. Number 2, thou shalt not assume that shrillness of tone is a substitute for substantive dialogue. Number 3, this is going to take too long. What I'd like to say is that a couple of these commandments were already disobeyed by people that work for the city, whether it be in a political capacity or, as my friend Mr. Laspinoso so rudely said to me before, that I was wasting his time. You know, listen, he didn't hurt my feelings. Like, I want to tell you, but there's a lot of people that are watching this, and I've already gotten about 4 or 5 text messages from them, and they wanted to let me know how rude he was, and I'm fine with it. The 9th and 10th Ward usually has an Easter egg hunt. I don't know if that's something that you want to bring up before the end of the meeting. It's a fantastic affair. I see now that they've got competition. They tried with competition in another ward, that they tried giving them the 9th and 10th Ward competition. It wasn't much competition, and you know what? Let's just have a good time, okay? But mention everybody, maybe let everybody know about it before it's brought up and made to be something. And I'm not talking about the 9th and 10th Ward, I'm talking about the mayor's Easter egg hunt that he brought up before. I don't want to miss anything. Now, real quick, the problem with this new system, as far as asking questions, like I said before, I can't ask a follow-up question. So if I ask a question and I go sit down and my question's not answered, I have no right to ask a follow-up question. That's a problem, okay? We have follow-up questions sometimes. Sometimes our question isn't answered completely. We're not given that the respect of being able to ask a second question. That's why the system is flawed, okay, with the 3-minute clock. This Saturday, March 23rd at 2 p.m., there's going to be, and I haven't heard anything about, no one's mentioned it up here. There's going to be a protest or a rally against racial slurs that were made in the City of Linden firehouse, okay? Come out, support these firefighters. It's the least you can do. It's Saturday, March 23rd at 2 p.m. And the problem is that this wasn't addressed. It wasn't addressed by the city fathers when it should have been addressed. It still hasn't been addressed because they're afraid to speak about it because of legal, ramifications. I can't say I agree with that. I would have handled it differently, but this is something that is going to happen. It's going to happen March 23rd at 2 p.m., so come out. I'd also like to send my condolences to Councilwoman Cosby. I believe a relative of hers, it was her sister who passed away. I didn't hear anybody mention it, so I want to be the one to mention it. I can't, there's no words for it, but thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Principato. Hans? Yes.
Good evening, guys. Hans Herberg, 51 Westover Road. I'm glad tonight is more settled compared to last month, though. Anyway, guys, this month I did want to thank Linden PD, Lieutenant Gunther. He did an amazing job with Coffee at the Cop event. That was really amazing. When you guys look at the agency, you could see the agency and the community all got together. They talk about what's going on in your community. I think it's good, though. I think I like to see everyone do something similar. What if we do all city leaders, do coffee or have a little picnic with the residents, like all town get together. I think something like this could be positive, though, but I am very concerned about, the fighting back and forth, though. Where I come from, anybody enter my home, you gotta respect each other. Even if somebody doesn't like each other, it's just, it's just ignore it. Use positive reinforcements. There's bigger problems in the world. It's not really worth it. It's not fair for everyone. I'm just speaking on myself, though, and I never have problems with any of you guys. If anybody respects me, I respect each other back. If no one likes each other, work stuff out. Do what's best for the residents, though. I'm very grateful. I got an awesome councilwoman. Even you guys. You guys set up a meeting for the wards as well as John. It's good, though. We like to hear feedback, what's going on in our communities. I think that is what really matters. But if everyone's mad at each other, come on. I've seen people working in a fight. If they get arguments, have a few drinks after work and work it out. Sometimes it works best, though. So anyway, guys, that's all I gotta say. But I really hope down the road, let's work together. For the community. If everyone's having a bad day, don't take it on each other's families or kids. That's not very appropriate. Come on. These are the kids, though. We don't know what's going on, though. But let's try to give each other some respect. That's all I gotta say, to guys. And I thank you guys very much.
Thank you for your comments. Mr. Mack?
In the name of God, the beneficent, the most merciful, Master of this day of judgment, thee do we serve and thee do we seek for help. Oh, my Lord, help me and hide me behind your holy words. Mr. Mayor, Mr. President of City Council, members of council, I wasn't here last month, but I was here a month before that, and one of my texts was respect. So it's happy for me to tell you tonight that when God shows up, he shows out. There's been some showing out in here tonight, but the bottom line is I had to take the time to go to Tom's River Ocean Grove, Neptune, Spring Lake, and the graveyard, to ask the ones that set the tone for the city of Linden, has did a fantastic job for the city of Linden, setting us on the straight path, the path from whom there have restored fables. Fables was set by generation before us. Here we stand tonight in direct violation, which brings my attention to the fact Linden is 100%. I warned Linden, and I have warned the state of New Jersey that Linden has 100, but here we are now standing at 85, 10. Watch the language. 85%, 10%, and 5%. Somebody want to know what I'm talking about? Please, you don't go ask nobody else. Come ask me. 85% of the people is the people's. 10% of the people's is some that has been misinformed. I know what I said, Brother Minister. 5% is the poor righteousness people that asking the mayor, president of city council, and members of council, will you please obey the people? Obey the ordering of the people. The people that the one that sent us here. I didn't do it. The people did it. And we have no right in our own conscience to change the ward that you came out of. You came out of the first ward, second ward, third ward, for whatever ward you came from. You cannot change the policy of the people. You can't change the policy of the people. You can't bring your own personal agenda to Linden. We have to tone down the fact that the white man, black man, Spanish man, red man, all of that, Linden was set, the tone has been set in Linden. The tone was set by the peoples. I'm so happy to say I got here in 1964. In every ward in Linden, I have walked and worked in every ward in this town. And I know what's in Linden. And I have warned you and warned you repeatedly to stop. But no, 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 no. Somebody have agenda that is not of the righteousness nature. And so I was warned when I got here in 1964 that there's good peoples in Linden. I'm talking about every ward in Linden stood up superior. Yes, they did. I come here to tell you tonight, out of the 21 counties in the state of New Jersey, I want to tell you, and somebody can call me, and what do you mean by that? I had the opportunity to live with, out of the 21 counties, the communities, in the state of New Jersey colleges. Watch the language. Watch the language. Watch the language. I heard what the people said to me. And here we stand here in Linden in 2019, you're talking about color. May God bless you and heaven smile on you.
Thank you for your comments. Lee Delwade.
Mayor, Council, Mayor, again, congratulations on that last honor. Councilman Orman and also Councilman Cosby. I just want to remind people, if we could just simply even look at the definition of politics. Politics refers to a set of activities associated with the governance of a country or an area, and the area here is Linden. It involves making decisions that apply to members of a group. It refers to achieving and exercising positions of governance, organized control over a human community. As we think about the fact that we're here as servants, you're servants for the community. In the era of fake news, we need to practice what we preach. I look and read, and I see people's pages, and I see what is said on them, and it's deplorable. It really is. And I think we need to practice, because when you sit here and say, oh, this person so-and-so. And I've heard things that you've said and seen what you've done. It's not a good thing. And that's not condemning everybody up here, because most of you are very good people, and I think you really, really do care about Linden. But I think we need to put the nonsense aside, and I think we have. And please don't act like this is the first time Linden has ever had any disagreement. I've been here for over 50 years, and Linden has always had a little bit of something, and people have their corners and their areas that they want to profess for whatever reason. Everybody has their group. But when you come as a body in Linden, there's time to put business of Linden first. Now, a good thing is that you do have a timer, because some things I hear up here is like amazing. Really, this session should only be 3 minutes. People come up 2 and 3 times. Sometimes maybe that should be limited, because what they say, I'll leave that for later. But as we go forward, I just think, just be cognizant of the people that are watching, because we're in a climate now in this country that people think that they can say and do anything and it's okay and it's going to be acceptable. Well, it's not, because people go and vote. And just like you got voted in, you can get voted out. And some people that I have seen come up here today, and I have to, they've made things so personal, and it was so unnecessary. It really is so unnecessary. If Mayor want to have something for $2,000, that's his business. If he's doing something for a certain party, that's on his private time. If you can't afford to come, then that's your problem. You get a GoFundMe page and can't get invited, that is also your problem. But now, getting back to some people talking about, oh, we're going to have the rally or the march. Well, I've heard a little bit about that, and I'm glad that's happening. Hopefully we can, as a body, we can get in front of that to find out what's going on in this town, because it is very, very important. But I just say, be cognizant of what you say and what you do. And always remember, somebody else is watching and taping. And someone even got up here and said, oh, disparaging words about racial, and then I've even heard that person say it. But I'm not, because I hate when people say that person said. Please, let's stop doing that. That person said this, or that person said. Say who it is. Say who it is. Because if you can't be man or woman enough to come up and say who said it, then don't bring it forth. I wouldn't even allow them to say it. If you can't say the person's name, then don't say it. That's it. Have a good night. It's time to go home.
Thank you. Okay, can I have a motion to close the public comment section of the meeting?
Motion.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Oh.
I didn't have you on the... Hold on a minute. Did you sign in? Okay. Yeah.
May I?
Yes.
Clerk, Mr. Clerk, can we stop the roll and allow another person to speak legally? I would like to.
No roll was done.
I would allow the gentleman to speak.
Okay. Mr. Blaine, could you please come up? Thank you, Councilman.
My name is Garnett Blaine, 1110 East Blanky Street. And I've been to a couple of council meetings, and I have to tell you that the last couple of them that I've been to was very disheartening. We all sit here, we all live in the city, and we all want this city to progress. When I look at the council body,
I know if I don't know you, I know your family. I know every single one of you come from good stock. I can start naming them. From Mrs. Hickey, I know your family. They're good people. I know you come from good people. Mrs. Ormond, I know your mother, your father. I've seen the work you've done, Mr. Javik. Mr. Roman, I've seen your passion. I've seen your love for the people. I know you have it in your heart. I see the passion of the people that come up here and speak, and I know that you, deep down inside, you want what's best for the city, but sometimes I encourage some of the members that are so vocal and have such compassion, please run for office, because maybe then you'll be in charge to make some of the decisions that you want to put forward. And I think that some of the things that are said, I kind of agree with, but the way we go about conducting business sometimes is just not right. I know the mayor. I know for a fact, if you have an issue or you want to talk to him, his door is open. You can even ring his doorbell. I don't suggest everybody do that, but you can. And I'm speaking for all the council members. Stop the personal attacks. Leave families out of this. I really personally want to thank the DPW department for cleaning up the railroad side of Baltimore Avenue. I called, I talked to you, you made it happen. That's what we're looking for. We're here for city business. We're here for a place for our children to grow, to learn and be productive members of society. If we conduct ourselves this way in here, what example are we showing them? Ask yourself, when you come up here, be an adult. Be an intelligent adult. What image are you setting? What image are we setting for the city? Let's set the tone. God bless you all.
Thank you. Okay, can I have a motion to close the public comment section?
Council President, I'd like to make a motion to close the public comment section and ask for a second, please.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mrs. Yemakaitis?
Yes. Okay, I'm going to ask for any members of the governing body wishing to make a comment. 1 minute.
I do.
Okay. All right, we'll start with Councilman Roman.
Thank you, Council President. Happy birthday, DK. I forgot to say that in my report, and I hope you're resting easy. Kelly, it's not to an extent. You, the people, to an extent work for us. No, we work for you. You're my boss, every one of you. Every last one, 6 words, 7th word, I don't care what word. Taxpayer, renter, whatever. Small business owner. Hasn't always been like this. Mr. Blaine just gave an impassioned speech. It reminded me of my March 2017. I was saying this, man, it's almost identical. Begging this council to work together. I hope it can get better, and I still have hope for that. I pray that it does. Unless some people, all of the council, change their behavior collectively, and that would require not to do things behind the scenes of everyone else. I'd really much like to talk to you after.
Councilman Medina?
Thank you, Council President. I'll make this real brief. My earlier report, I failed to mention that received some issues and concerns on in the evenings and Friday and Saturday night. I went out on Saturday night. I sat there at midnight to 1 o'clock in the morning to observe some of the issues with the Central Park patrons. Reached out to the owners of Central Park. We're having a meeting later this week, if not early next week, to come up with a plan to address the issues for the folks on Princeton Road. And also failed to recognize or make mention, I know social media brings a lot of issues into this dais, and it should not, but unfortunately that's the way things are these days. But I want to recognize the parking agents. I know they're being blasted on social media. You know, they're doing a great job, just like our police department. And when people post pictures of their tickets and whatnot and singling out these ticket agents, you know, they're doing their job. They're doing an amazing job. You know what? We all receive tickets. Matter of fact, I pay for residents' tickets. And anyone here can tell you, and well, I know, but don't come to my door. And anyone in the municipal court will tell you. So again,
Thank
recognize
you,
those guys. Thank you, Council President.
Okay, Councilman Brown?
You don't want to go? Okay. It was only twice during this meeting, especially during public comment, that I heard the word children, and not once seniors. So here's a statistic. 2017, 43 residents were registered in the city of New Jersey, or they're saying 43,000 people live in there, 25% are children. The reason why I mention this is that during this whole meeting, we've been back and forth about behavior and things of this nature, which is valid, but it goes on both ways. We've been dealing with this for years after years. Next meeting, I'm going to go over with Alexis what we call SEED, social, economical, educational, and desirable quality of life, things that we've done in the city. While the tone of this meeting has been negative and is constantly just bashing back and forth, I keep saying actions speak louder than words. So everyone has a smartphone here, and I asked them, go to the City of Linden website and go to the gallery section and look at the events and things that were done with people who aren't even inside this room. To me, that's why I'm here every month, is that when we're doing a Black History Month, a Women's Month, you see the banners out there. When we're doing a brunch, or we reach out to the art school, and we're working with Councilman Medina on bringing the corporate art school here, or Women in Comics here for our women. And we're talking about doing a lot of different things. Not once are we focusing on that. Every month we're focusing on this back and forth. Yet, like I said, some people are actually working to move the city forward, and we can move the city forward a lot more easier if everyone got their hands dirty and worked.
Councilwoman Ormond?
Yes, just real quickly, I just wanted to make mention on April 26th, school number 1 will be having a tricky tray, doors open at 6 p.m. Please come out and support our children. All the funds and proceeds will go towards their class trips. It is all about the children. Also, as Councilman Javik had mentioned, we will be having our public safety meeting. This is the third one that I've hosted since I've been on council. I do one a year. March 28th, 6:30 to 8 o'clock p.m. at the Linden Library, 331 East Henry Street. Please come and discuss your topics of public safety, and I'm going to also ask that our Board of Education come, since there's a concern about this children walking. It is the Board of Education's issue when schools are released and the children. It's not the city. But we do care. So Ms. Brown, I'm going to see if, Ms. Johnson Brown, I'm going to see if you and your colleagues will come out and help us address the misinformation about the traveling of the kids back and forth, and then collectively what we can do to ensure that all the kids are safe. Thank you.
I just would also like to thank the police officers who were up here this evening. We appreciate all your service. I hope that everybody will walk away from this meeting and think about all this. Mr. Principato, I provided the 10 Commandments last night at the council meeting. A priest friend of mine gave it to me because they saw the meeting, and they said, you guys need this. You know, it's both ways between the public and the council, and everybody needs to walk away, take a deep breath, and consider all this. So I thank you. Mr. Antonelli, I'll give you a minute to speak. Okay.
Sure. Thank you, Council President.
See, it goes both ways. He gets a minute also.
For permission, I'll be quick. I know there was some comments tonight with regard to the changes in the rules, and again, it was all done in an effort to try and move these meetings along in a more orderly fashion. But there were some comments with regard to resolutions and the time limits placed on it. I could tell you Linden is one of a few towns in Union County that actually allows members of the public to comment on resolutions before they're actually voted on. There are a lot of other towns that actually do not allow members of the public to comment on resolution, and instead your only time to comment will be long after in public comment in the 5 minutes when the resolution passed. So I want to commend this body actually for giving the citizens an opportunity to comment on resolutions before they're voted on.
Thank you, Mr. Antonelli. Okay. The following council meetings will be as follows. Council conference meeting on Monday, April 15, 2019 at 6 p.m. in the council conference room, City Hall, 301 Northwood Avenue. Council conference meeting prior to the council meeting, Tuesday, April 16th at 6 p.m. in the council conference room, City Hall, 301 Northwood Avenue. Council meeting Tuesday, April 16th at 7 p.m. in the council chambers. Can I ask for a motion to adjourn?
Have a motion, make a motion to
Second.
adjourn?
Second.
All, aye.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Brown? Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
Aye.
Strano?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mrs. Yemakaitis?
Yes.